Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below, right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we're going along if you're enjoying the content, if you're finding it useful, helpful, insightful, or entertaining in any way. Hi, Sam. Nice to see you. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Lots of love to you, my friend. And if you didn't already know, I am Sandra Mermy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a Celebration of Asexual Diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. Tonight's episode is going to be absolutely ace. It's called You Have the Right to Change Your Mind. And it's a very, very, very good episode. So here we go. So you might have known that years ago I did a pattern changing course. So in the past, I've been in relationships involving abuse. The guy had been very abusive to me in different ways. I've had quite a lot of different forms of abuse, and I was determined never ever to get into a relationship ever again with an abusive guy, or if I got in one, I would get a heck out of there very, very, very quickly. And so it was really important that I did this course, and it was a 3-month course. Well, 14 weeks, but you had like an Easter break in it, which I think was for 1 or 2 weeks. So it was in total for 3 months, and the course was absolutely brilliant. And it was by a company called Stop Abuse for Everyone, otherwise known as SAFE in the UK. And I was recommended to go to this by my doctor. So it was a really, really fascinating course. It was very, very insightful and good. And I learned a lot about spotting patterns of abusive guys, patterns. Hi, Ray. Lovely to see you too. Thanks for the thumbs up. So when I was doing this course, I got to see the signs of what would make up an abusive guy, and you can see different patterns. Now, up until this point in my life, I hadn't been educated at all really on what to look for in patterns of abuse. Obviously, there's certain things you get to know from experience, but it's much better to be told by a professional as well, because when you're in an abusive relationship, the abuser will make you feel like you're the one going crazy or insane. So you kind of lose a sense of what's right and wrong. Even though you might think something's wrong, you kind of like put up with their behavior, or they make you feel so bad about yourself that you couldn't get anyone else, that you kind of lose a sense of all reality. And even though you might know or have known what's bad for you and not good about being in a relationship, they might try and convince you that it's you that's to blame, and it just gives you an absolute nightmare, and it makes it very hard for you to put boundaries in place, be a set, which is why they do it. They do it to undermine you, to hurt you, and to pull the pull the rug from beneath your feet. I can't speak tonight. I was thinking about pulling a ball of wool because it unravels. It is like a ball of wool unraveling, to be honest with you. So I was really, really glad that I did this pattern changing course. And in this pattern changing course, we had what we call our Bill of Rights. And I've still got them to this day hung up on my wardrobe door. And you don't probably know this, but my Mac, this place you're viewing me on now, is in a workstation wardrobe. So I open the doors and I get to see you and talk to you. So I'm going to read you your Bill of Rights out. And one of the most important things I took from it, well, there was loads of important things I took from it, which you have the right to change your mind. That's about the person you're in a relationship with and about things to do with the relationship yourself, right? Things to do with the relationship itself, sorry. And also things about yourself you can obviously change your mind about as well. So this is the Bill of Rights. I'm going to look that way because it's actually sellotape to my door and I don't want to take it off. So the first one actually is, you have the right to be you. So it's so important. You do have the right to be you. So if in a relationship you feel that you're not being you, that you're forced to be someone you're not, then get out of the relationship, because you have a right to be you, No one should be putting you down or belittling you for being you. You have the right to put yourself first. Now, contrary to a lot of what people say in a relationship, like, oh, you should always put your partner first, you have a duty of care to yourself as well to put yourself first. So, when you're exerting your boundaries of things you don't do and don't like, there might be something that the other person really likes and wants you to do. But if you're not comfortable with it, you shouldn't be doing it. Right? You shouldn't be doing it. If in the end you're not compatible with the person because they like things and want things and feel that you're depriving them of them and you can't give them what they want, then it's time to move on, yeah, for both your sakes. But you do have the right to put yourself first. You have the right to be safe, which is obviously very, very important. The fact that a lot of people think that, everyone wants sex is just disgusting, and you have the right to be safe and feel safe in a relationship. It is your birthright to feel safe, and sometimes you can do things to help yourself feel safe, and sometimes, the other person can do things to help you feel safe. Safety is very, very important, and so you have the right to love. You have the right to love and to be loved, which again is so important. You might have had abusive relationships and past, or abusive people around you who made you feel like you are unwanted, unloved, you're unlovable, no one could love you. And when I was in an abusive relationship, my ex used to say stuff like, "You'll never get anyone else," and I believed them at the time. I mean, the worst thing for me and the best thing at the same time is the guy I was with, my last long-term ex, he would go 2 or 3 months without sex, which was great for me. But one of the reasons why I stayed with him was because I thought I will never get another person like him who will be in a relationship with me without sex. Now I know that I'm asexual, and I know there's thousands of other asexuals around the globe. I know that simply isn't true, but it's something that I believed, So when he actually said, "Oh, you'll never be able to get anyone else," one, I'd lost pretty much all my friends at that point. I'm never going to ever do that again, obviously, but I lost pretty much all my friends at that point. And and it was just not good for me. It really wasn't good. So, so when you lose your friends, you've got no one else that kind of loves you. I mean, I had my parents, but I didn't live with them, and I didn't speak to them or see them that much at that point, I don't think, in my life. I still did speak to them, but not. I'll probably speak to them more now again. But because I didn't see them that much because they didn't. My ex didn't get on with them, which is understandable, really. So. You know what I mean? It's understandable they didn't get on with him in the end. He wasn't a very good guy. He upset my dad, I think. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, you can make yourself ill if you're always putting the other person first. Yeah, exactly, Ray. You can make yourself ill if you always put the other person first, and also you can resent them, even though you're not supposed to resent people. You can do, because like, I hate doing the washing up. I hate cooking and cleaning, but it's going to be very difficult for someone to be in a relationship with me because I hate doing all that stuff. I kind of feel like if I'm in a relationship, I'm going to have to force myself to do that more often, because it's not fair if someone comes around to my place and sees washing up still there. It'll be quite horrible for them. So I'm going to have to do it a lot more, which is going to be annoying for me. But you know what I mean? But there might be certain days where I just can't do it, because I'm busy or something. But I do realise that being in a relationship, I might have to change a bit, and I might have to do more like washing up. But I don't want to do his washing up as well. Do you know what I mean? He can come and bring his own food over my place and can wash up himself. I don't want his stuff on top of mine to do. Mine's hard enough. Like if you've got fibro, sometimes it hurts just standing there doing washing up. I got better things to be doing with my time and nicer things. Do you know what I mean? So, and I believe in putting yourself first now. I can't put the other guy, the guy first. It has to be me because I've got fibro. That's what fibromyalgia did for me in 2012. I put myself first now. I won't be in a relationship with a guy, however much I like him, if I'm too anxious about being with him. It's just too much for my body to take. That's why I'm better being single a lot of the time, because I just have relationship anxiety, and I feel better actually as a single person. I'm more empowered. It's really weird. As soon as I get into a relationship, I don't feel good. I don't feel as confident. I don't feel as happy. I don't know if that's because I haven't met the right person for a relationship yet, or what, or if it's just because a relationship doesn't suit me. But I feel really empowered as a single person. I feel very powerful, very strong, very determined, very happy, very confident, very trusting. But as soon as I get into a relationship, it's like all that just changes. I can't really trust the person. I I don't know if it was with the right person, if I would trust them, because I don't think, I haven't, there's no guy that I could be in a relationship with who I 100% trust. I 100% trust Sam, but obviously Sam likes guys, so it's different. But actually, the guys that like women that I know, I wouldn't trust any of them to be in an actual relationship with. I just wouldn't 100%. So my ex was lucky I did all the cooking. Oh, that's good, Ray. That's really nice of you. Really, really nice of you. It's really good. Yeah. It is important. Like I have to put my health first now. I have to put myself first because I can't. The thing with me is I need to live a young teenager lifestyle because one, I adore it. I feel so happy when I'm living that life. And two, is it's very good for my fibro. It maintains and sustains my energy. I can't be going to a normal life because it would just knock the life out of me. I don't want that type of life. It's boring for me. It's uninteresting and it doesn't make me feel good. I'm actually happier sleeping in the day and being awake at night. I feel better that way. Even if I get 8 hours sleep, even if I go to bed at 4 and get up at like midday, I'm getting 8 hours sleep, but I feel it's a more unusual time and it's better for me. Like I'm living in the night and I just feel better for that. And it's like if a guy's here and he stays over, he's not going to get any sleep with me. And it's not a case of I don't want to think about him. It's a case of I can't sleep. I can't sleep at normal times. And I just have to get up and do stuff. I can't waste my life because he wants to sleep. I mean, that's why I say to a guy, I don't want you over, I might love him or care about him, but I can't have him sleeping in my bed because one, I can't usually sleep next to a guy, and two, I'm awake for half the night. If he needs to sleep, then he shouldn't be staying over my place. And then that's what happened with the last guy I was with. He was like, oh, want to stay over, which was fair enough. But then it's like, well, then he was moaning that I was keeping him awake, being so unfair. And I've had that before. And it's like, well, I did tell him he could book into a hotel. I do that though. I generally get about 4 to 6 hours sleep, but I go to sleep around 4 or 5. Much more productive at nights. Yeah, Sam, at least you understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I actually lived with a guy, which I don't want to do, really, I'd need a separate room. Then he can go and sleep in his bedroom, and then I can get on with my work and do what the heck I want in my bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Because I just can't see it working any other way. I mean, sometimes I might go to sleep in the same bed as him if I'm really, really knackered and had a really busy day or whatever. And you know what I mean? Or I might go to sleep sometimes what I can do in the past is I fall asleep on top of the bed with the person. And then like later on I'll be awake and active again. It's really funny. Because sometimes I can fall asleep when I'm not intending to go to sleep, but when I intend to go to sleep, I can't go to sleep early. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if I'm not intending to go to sleep, but say I've been kissing the guy, I'm a bit tired, I might fall asleep in his arms, but then I'll be awake later on when they'll want to actually go to sleep at a normal hour. So, but yeah, I find that. I'm glad you're like me in that way. I find it just like I can't very much sleep in front of someone. Like I get really conscious. Like it's like I'm not totally asleep. It's like I can hear things in the room. I can hear the person. I can just, obviously when you're next to someone, they snore as well. How the heck are you supposed to sleep with that? It's just ridiculous. And for my pressure points, my fibro pressure points, I need space in bed. I need the whole bed. You have to make time for kissing. Ha ha. Yeah, I can make time for kissing, but I was thinking, like I would, I prefer to write a book and save a life than kiss, even though I love kissing so much. Do you know what I mean? Like I was saying, like there are certain situations where I couldn't, like I love spending 2 or 3 hours kissing, but I would have to have enough time to do my work as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't be kissing and not do my books, for example. Writing's my hugest passion. So, I do need a balance. but I do love kissing. It's like a favorite hobby to me. But then, I just love doing that. But like I said, I want to. But if I was just seeing a guy like a couple of times a week, that'd be great. Have a wonderful quality time, have a great date, kissing for 2 or 3 hours each. And then like the rest of the week, I'm busy doing my work. Do you know what I mean? That means I've got 6 hours kissing. Say that was just theoretically 2 days a week, 6 hours kissing, 3 hours each day. I don't think it would be like 3 hours, usually the maximum I've done, I think. But just theoretically say it was 3 hours each day. That'd be 6 hours, which would make up for 7 days a week. It'd be equivalent of kissing him 1 hour, well, just less than an hour a day, wouldn't it? It'd be like kissing him for like 50 minutes a day. But I packed it all into 2 days. That's called blocking time. Instead of coffee break, have a kiss break. Yeah. But when you're doing work, you should do what you call blocking. And that means blocking time out for a certain thing. You spend all that time doing that. Then you block out another time. So you block out time for quality days with the guy and kissing. And you've got it all in the 2 days. And I can get on with my work and change lives. I got my kissing time as well. I think that sounds like a good plan to me. Pack it all into 2 days and off I go writing more books to save people's lives and help them. I think that sounds a good idea. Pack it all into 2 days, including the kissing. Because I'm not going to be able to go to sleep anyway while he's here. So I may as well spend the 3 hours at night kissing him. And then he can go back to his place to recover for the rest of the week. Or for 3 days until I see him on the second day that week. 2 or 3 days rest from me. Oh, it's funny. Right, what's the next thing? You have the right to be treated with respect, which is so important in a relationship. You do have the right to be treated with respect. And if you think that the person's not respecting you, you need to obviously talk to them about it. If talking does no good, then you have the right to change your mind about being in a relationship with them and leave. Do you know what I mean? All these things come down to the fact you have the right to change your mind. So if you get into a situation where the person isn't acting as they should be, they're not being good to you, they're not being kind to you, right? Obviously, someone's not going to be nice and kind to you 24/7, 365 days a year, maybe, because there might be times when they come home stressed and unfortunately they take it out on you, or they might have had a bad day of work and snap at you on the phone. I mean, ideally we don't want this, but it does happen in relationships. If you're with someone for like life, for example, 10, 15, 20 years, you're really going to be having some things that are not quite as they should be. Maybe you don't say the right words in the heat of the moment because maybe you've had a bad day and you snap at the person. Maybe, obviously, I don't like the idea of this. I think it's better if you talk about things and say, look, I'm feeling angry now, I'm feeling pissed off, I'm feeling frustrated. It's like I was getting a bit annoyed with something today, and I messaged my best friend Sam and said, "Oh, I'm fed up, not with them, but with the situation to do business stuff." And I was like, "Oh, it's crap, excuse my language," and I just needed to like get it off my chest. And part of the situation sorted itself out later on anyway, which is fine. But, sometimes you need to offload, and that is the right way to do it. Saying, oh, I'm feeling a bit stressed, I feel crap, I'm thinking crap, in a kind of jokey, like, this is annoying way. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of thing. But if you're actually in a relationship, for example, if you were living with a person and, you're with them 24/7 and something like that happens, you might be a bit more like, like you might come across as though you're a bit more like, because I'm at home here on my own. If I get stressed out, I can go, like that. It's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Meltdown. But if someone's here witnessing that, they might think I'm being a bit angry or something towards them, even though it's not aimed at them, or they might think it's a bit aggressive, or they might think it's a bit like horrible. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to realize that in relationships, not everything's going to be perfect, and sometimes there might be moments where they say something to you that they shouldn't be saying, or they might be acting around you like out of their own turmoil in life, not necessarily to do with you, but you might take it the wrong way, or they might snap at you. Do you know what I mean? It can happen. We don't always say the perfect things that we should be saying, the right things. You know what I mean? When emotions run high, sometimes it's not always perfect. But if you find that you're getting disrespectful, so say you say to your partner, like, I don't like you doing certain things. So say something I don't like is I like my hair being stroked, but I wouldn't like my hair being pulled. So if I had a guy who was pulling on my hair, or if I had a guy grabbing my wrist, that's completely no. I don't want to be with a guy who grabs my wrist, to be quite honest with you. But you know what I mean? Like, they've got to respect your boundaries and respect what feels good to you and respect you as a person. If they just like walking all over you, they're like saying, I'll see you at 9 o'clock tonight, and then they don't turn up till 10 o'clock at night, or I'll see you at 2 o'clock tomorrow for lunch, then they cancel just before. And you know, and they keep doing that on you, and they've no good reason, you know, and they don't respect your time. They're just like, oh yeah, well, I want a video chat now, and they've given you no notice, and they keep doing this. And you know, I mean, sometimes you might say to your friend, do you want a video chat? They might be upset about something, it might be a good time to do it, blah blah blah. But if you've got a partner, expects you to be at his beck and call, or hers if you're watching this into girls, you know, and they like just want to like video chat with you straight away when they feel like it, when you might be busy with your own work or got friends, or they're very demanding, and they don't show any respect for you having your own friend, your own life, and being your own person, then obviously you need to have words and to sort it out or not be with them. You always have the right to change your mind and walk away from that person, not be in a relationship with them. And you should walk away from them if they're not respecting you and your boundaries and things. Do you know what I mean? You can tell usually if someone's not respecting you. You'll feel like you're being walked over. You'll feel like you're being taken advantage of. You'll feel like someone's taking you for granted. You'll feel like someone's not appreciating you. When you start feeling a lot of those feelings, you'll know that they're not respecting you, you know? So the next one, yes, which just goes on with what I've just said. You have the right to be human, not perfect. So that fits nicely into what I just said, because no person in the world is perfect. No person's perfect in a relationship. You know, you might make mistakes. You probably will do. You might snap at the person. You might say something. You might do something they don't like, because, you know, you might not be the perfect person. No one's perfect. So you're going to have some stumbles probably, and some things, you know, like you say and you're like, oh, I wish I'd not said that. Oh, that's like insensitive of me, or oh, that came out the wrong way, you know? And you'll have to put that right and say, I'm sorry. And, you know, we're all not perfect. And the thing is when you're a critical person, because I can be very critical of myself, you can end up criticizing other people quite a lot too. So you got to be mindful of that. Like, I'm very self-critical, so I could end up criticizing a guy quite a bit because I'm critical of my own self. So I have to watch that and keep that in check, just to make sure that I'm not being too critical of the person. But you also have to have standards as well. You know what I mean? You can't have no standards, otherwise just like, you know what I mean? It's not good or healthy for you that way. But just remember, you know, you are human. You know, it's like, even when I did the abuse course, which was called pattern changing course, they said that these patterns of abuse, be aware that there might be the odd time when this person does do something that's one of the signs of abuse, but it's like a one-off, or it's done limited time, or occasionally, you know, and it's like one of the traits. It doesn't mean to say they're an abuser. They have to have like these multiple traits all the time, consistently, or in a consistent manner, if you know what I mean. So there might be times where your partner does shout at you and you might not like it, but they might do it. That isn't, you know, abuse. It's if someone was shouting at you and manipulating you and putting you down and being really confrontational, bringing up all your past and the traumas and this type of thing, you know. So some people in a relationship, they do bring up each other's past, which, you know, like, oh, well, you would say that because you said that with your ex and stuff like that, which isn't a good way to be. But no one's perfect, you know. So really, it's a case of, is the person genuinely manipulating you over a period of time, or saying things that really control you and are purposely trying to control your mind? Do you know what I mean? But a person's not perfect. Like, sometimes in relationships, a partner will get a bit jealous, you know, and there's a difference between them being jealous, and they might say, I don't really want you going out with him, because they feel jealous. And then you have to talk to them about it and introduce them to that person and do your best to convince them that, you know, there's nothing going on and that type of thing. Because, you know, their jealousy is natural for some people, but there's a stage where, you know, if the jealousy got out of hand, where they were like, you can't go and see anyone, and telling you what to do, then that would be like control and a manipulation abuse. So if a person was jealous and they said, look, I'm feeling jealous now, I'm not really happy about it, they're saying I feel that way, then that's not someone telling you what to do. But if you got a person say, look, you're not going out with him, I've told you that now, then, you know, that would be an abuser who's controlling you, telling you what to do. So it's, you know, sometimes there's very subtle differences you have to watch out for. But, you know, someone was like that with, I had to get them out of my life. It was a type of bullying. Oh, yeah, Ray, I'm glad you got them out of your life. It's horrible, you know. I'll always have my friends, you know. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be aware if I get a guy, because most of my friends are guys, you know, that I will make sure I tell the guy straight up front that a lot of my, you know, most of my friends are guys. Do you know what I mean? I'll be very blunt about that from the beginning. But luckily, most of my guy friends or my best non-binary friend, they're into guys, so they haven't really got anything to worry about. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're going to fancy me and ever get into a relationship with me. Do you know what I mean? It's just never going to happen. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like a bit easier for them to accept, because it's like, well, they're never going to fancy me in a million years. So it's just like, but most of my friends are guys, and I've always liked that, and I always prefer that, and I'm never having that again. I'd rather be single and keep my guy friends and get into a relationship, and a guy not allow me or want me to have guy friends. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, I do understand from another person's point of view that they might be a bit weirded out by that. So I, you know, I'd make sure for a start, I would say up front before I even got into a relationship with them, so they knew damn well that is the score. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, you know, I might need to reassure them sometimes, you know. But I would introduce them to all my friends so they were fine about it. You know, that's the best thing you can do. If you've got a lot of the opposite gender friends, then it's best if you introduce your partner to those friends so they don't really get jealous and they're cool about it and they can see you together and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And that there's nothing going on. It's really important. If you've got if your partner and they've got friends of the opposite gender and they're keeping them secret from you, they don't want you to talk to them, they don't want to involve you in their life with their friends at all, and you're in a long-term committed relationship, then that's not a good sign. You know, honestly, at the beginning, it's fine not to know their friend, but you know, if you at some point you're going to want to, once you trust them, you're going to want to introduce them. I mean, I don't like to introduce a new person straight away to all my friends, because it's kind of like they're my friends, and I, you know, if I don't know the person that well, I mean, really, I should never get into a relationship with someone I don't know. But if it's someone I don't know, then I don't just want them friending my friends. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know them until I can trust them. But then that's my mistake, because I shouldn't get into a relationship with someone I don't trust in the first place. Do you know what I mean? But I do know some of the people I've been with, they just go around friending all my friends on Facebook. It's like, hang on a minute. I don't mind you knowing my friends in the future, but I don't want you going like trying to take over all my friends and friending everyone. I find that weird. It's like, if I'm in a relationship with someone, I don't usually friend their friends, not unless I say, like, if their friend requests me, like, I'd have to say to my partner that your friend sent me a friend's request. Like, you know, I mean, I'd have to, but usually I just say, your friend sent me a friend's request. Like, are you happy about me to be friends with them or something? But you know, I guess it depends on the circumstances, you know. But I just, like, I wouldn't go round, if I had a partner, I wouldn't go around friending all their friends on their Facebook page, but maybe we would end up with some of the same friends. I mean, if we're in the same circles, we might have some of the same friends already, which is a bit different. Because I know some entrepreneurs, they end up having the same friends on their friends list because they just into business, both of them, and they both have similar kind of businesses and contacts anyway. So it does depend on the circumstances. Right. You have the right to be angry and protest if you are treated unfairly or abusive by anyone. So this is a very interesting one, because when they first did this and said you have a right to be angry and protest if anyone's treating you badly, like, I associated anger with being a really bad thing and abuse, right? But, you know, I learned that you can be angry, but usually you have to try and express it in the best way possible. But obviously you can't always express it in the best way possible. If you're really angry, either of you might end up shouting at the other person. But like, it's different. If someone shouts at you and hits you, then obviously that's no good. That's abuse straight away. No one should be hitting you if they get angry. You shouldn't be fearing for your life and feeling like they're going to punch you in the face or something, right? But if they get, the best thing to do if you're angry really is to say, I'm feeling angry right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, express it. Right? Say, I'm feeling angry rather than just being angry. Say, you'd obviously be angry as well, but you say, I feel really angry right now. Like, angry you did that thing, or angry that was said. No, it's me, I feel really angry. As you're supposed to say it without trying to blame the other person, but obviously sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it's very difficult. So, you have the right to be angry and protest. So you have the right to say you're angry, you're not happy about something. And, because I always thought being angry is a really bad thing. But when I learned on the course that, you can be angry, you're fine to be angry, but you should be expressing it in ways that are as constructive and good as possible. And obviously if someone's trying to hit you or hurt you physically, then that's abuse, so get out. So I think that's good as well, because a lot of abusers and mind manipulators, they will tell you, oh, stop being angry with me, and they will say it in a way that makes you feel like you're hurting them, if you know what I mean, by even saying that you're not happy with something. So you'll be very, very careful. It's very difficult, you should know yourself really what to do in this situation, because you have a right to be angry, express that anger, but obviously, and the other person does as well, not just you. But obviously if it accompanies with a physical violence, then they're an abuser. But sometimes they might just snap and start shouting, but it's if it gets to the point where it's intimidating or belittling, or you're scared for your life, that type of thing. But it's very hard, because some manipulators and abusers, they will make you feel like you can't be angry ever. So if you get angry, they'll say, you can't, why are you being angry? You're a horrible person. You're getting angry at me. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like weird how people twist things. I don't think anyone would shout at me in my house. I don't think they would either, Ray, with all the blooming crossbows and guns and stuff you have on your show. But you never know. You never know. I mean, anger is kind of a normal emotion. I think everyone gets angry at some point. I don't think anyone could not ever be angry. Do you know what I mean? I think, anger is an emotion, isn't it? I mean, some people that can't express any emotions might not get angry outwardly, but they might be very angry within themselves, which is very bad for them as well. So you got to be careful of that. Right, what is the next one? Oh, you have the right to your own privacy. Yeah, this is a very interesting when you have the right to your own privacy, and it is true. Although I would say that it is true, you do have the right to your own privacy. You have the right to your own space, the right to your own friends and everything like that, and the right to spend some time on your own. But I also think that you've got to watch out for, in a relationship, someone who's secretive to the point where you can't ask them anything, and anything you do ask them is just like, what do you want to know that for? Do you know what I mean? So you do have the right to your own privacy, and the right, like with your body as well. Like, if I don't want a guy to see my body, he's not going to see it, right? That's a boundary. If I don't want him to see me naked, I go in another room and get undressed or changed. That's the way it is, But they're not just talking about physical privacy. They're talking about, like your own stuff. I mean, a person should not be going through all your emails and all your Facebook messages and stuff like that. But obviously you shouldn't have anything to hide at the same time. Do you see what I mean? You shouldn't have secrets from your partner, to be honest with you. You should be open and very, very honest with the person. So you do have the right to your own privacy. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect a guy to come into my place and start looking through all my Gmail and trying to get my password and stuff like that. That's just not on. But obviously, I don't like I will sometimes have my phone, and I will have it like showing pictures and things like that, photographs on there to my friends or a boyfriend if I had one, because I don't think, they're things to be hidden. Like if any guy is trying to hide photographs of me on his phone, then he's got something to hide. Do you know what I mean? The guy should be fine about you seeing his photographs if there's nothing naughty or bad in there. Do you know what I mean? So I do agree with you have your right to your own privacy, but I do think you've got to watch some guys to make sure, like if you got like some guys, for example, heterosexual guys in particular, they could be seeing other women. Do you know what I mean? So some women do want to see some messages and stuff, and it's kind of weird because obviously the messages are private, but then you kind of shouldn't be having a guy who's scared to show you any of his messages at all, even little bits that are not private stuff between, because obviously I don't share or show private messages. I don't do, private stuff that's confidential stays between me and the person. However, if I was showing them part of a message, I would show them something that was generalized and nothing to do with the person. But I do agree that you have to have your own privacy, and that you should. And I don't think a person shouldn't be getting hold of your passwords and trying to take over your account. I've known some people who've got partners and they like try to take over their Facebook account. It's like, oh yeah, I share my Facebook with my partner, as in they've got access to all my account. That is just, for me personally, that's just way too much. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I want to show you anything, I will show you, and I'll show you because I'm an honest person. I've got nothing to hide. If I was ever showing anything to anyone, it'd be very general stuff, like I'd show a person saying, how is your day, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't show them other stuff. I don't expect them to show me, all their friends' conversations. But, you know what I mean? It's just, I wouldn't even want to see them. But I don't expect them to be hiding that they've got messages from other people, if you know what I mean. If you don't trust them, I think if you trust a person, it's fine. But I've had a couple of exes and they've been up to no good. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I think, as long as the person's open and honest and trustworthy, then you shouldn't really need to check their messages and stuff anyway. Do you know what I mean? But there might be a case scenario where they get really funny. I don't mind sharing my day. Oh, bless you. Yeah, exactly. Sharing your day is really important. It's one thing that breeds trust in a relationship. Sharing your day, sharing what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're watching. I mean, you don't have to go into every little detail all the time or at all, but like every now and again. Depends if you're in a relationship or not. I mean, if you're in a relationship, I think it's good to share your day with a person. I think it builds really good trust. And I think, you shouldn't be having secrets from each other, to be perfectly honest with you. You should be able to trust the person enough to tell them anything. Trust them with your life, really. It's very important in a relationship, very important. And I think it's nice when you share your day. But, when they're saying privacy, people do have a right to be private, because you can, in abusive relationship, don't forget that was for abuse course I did. So in abusive relationships, a person might want to take over everything you do. like start trying to go through your possessions, your drawers, your place, your emails. That's just a person that's not good for you. But yeah, in a relationship, you'd want to share your day and stuff. Like, I can't really emotionally connect with a guy who doesn't share his day and how it's going. Do you know what I mean? I find that, like, some guys I talk to, like, they don't speak to me very regularly, and when they do, they don't really tell me much about themselves or what they're doing. And I was like, well, you're no good for a relationship because I don't know anything about you. You've said a few general things about yourself, like your work, and maybe a few odd personal things now and again. But I remember this guy who came on acebook.net a long time ago, right? ace-book.net, or yeah. And so I call it ace-book.net. It's like a hyphen. Is it a hyphen? Ace with a book.net. Oh, that's the way I say it. Anyway, so basically, he'd sent me, this is a long time ago now, he'd sent me a few emails, and they were just general ones, like really general ones. And then he started saying, oh, if I came down to see you, would you share a bed with me? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. And it's like, do you honestly think after like 5 or 6, I think it was about 5 emails, where you don't seem to have that much in common with me. You seem to be a bit depressed, and you talk about work, and that's pretty much all you say to me. Do you really think I'm going to want to share a bed with you and I don't even know you? It just made me laugh in a like confused, what the heck are you doing way. But yeah, so there's a difference between privacy and secrecy, I think. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to know, like, if a guy's going to the toilet, I don't need to know every 5 minutes going to the toilet. Although I sometimes say I'm off to the loo now, because it's just like, if you're talking to someone, it's kind of rude to just leave them, isn't it? You kind of have to say I'm going to the toilet, but you don't need to know the ins and outs of every toilet. And you don't need to be in the toilet with your partner. Like, some people like to go in the toilet. I have been in the toilet with exes. Yes, I have. It's a very weird experience now I look back on it. But, sometimes it happens. Like, some people in relationships, you're on the toilet and then they're washing their hands. It's just like, I have done that in the past. It seems really weird now. I talk about it. It's like, oh my God, you're admitting that on YouTube, Sandra. What the heck are you doing? But couples do that sometimes. But, so yeah, I've not done that. I've not done that since with anyone. Thank goodness. I'm very I need my private toilet space now. Thanks a lot. But yes, it is something I've done, which now seems really weird, hilarious, funny. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just admitted that. But yeah, I can't say I'm really fond of doing that myself these days. Oh dear, right. Oh yes, you have the right to your own opinions, to express them and be taken seriously. This is so important, because some people, they can make you feel really bad if they don't agree with your opinions, or worse still, they don't even want you to have one. Or I'll give you an example, right? Okay, so I'm not going to say who it involves, but basically, I've had times in my life when I have said something and the person's like, if you go with that decision, I'll be here to pick up the pieces. Like, everything. I don't know if that includes decisions, but it says to express them. It says opinions, but you have the right to make your own decisions and to be taken seriously as well. Not just opinions, because like in this particular scenario, it's like, like I used to believe something. Well, I guess it is to do with opinions and decisions. They're both closely linked. So in the past, I've had my opinions that I want to do something, or I think this will happen, and the person's like, oh well, I'll be up here to pick up the pieces when it goes wrong, and therefore they've already told me that things are going to go wrong and that what I'm doing is not right. And that's a really bad attitude to have. It's basically trying to force me to say, don't do this thing because I don't agree with you and don't want you to do it. But if you do it and it goes wrong, I told you so. And it's kind of very horrible, because it makes you question yourself and your decisions. Like, you feel like you can't make any decisions yourself because you feel you're incapable of making the right decisions, when people are telling you, well, if you do that, they're implicating all the time and implying that it's just going to work out wrong all the time. I've had this problem in my life, where I've had this in the past, and it makes, like, later on in life, it makes life really hard to make your own decisions and to trust yourself and to believe what you're doing is right, because they put doubt in your mind, these people, constantly. It's not just like occasionally, it's consistently. Like, and that is the same with opinions. If you're saying your own opinion and that person's constantly trying to make you feel bad for sharing your opinion, like your opinion doesn't matter and doesn't count and it's not valid, that's a really bad thing. I mean, it's hard because obviously, like you have to go and get advice from people sometimes, right? But it doesn't mean to say you have to take it, just because you ask for someone's advice doesn't mean to say you should definitely do what they say, because you're getting advice so you can make an informed choice and decision for yourself if it's the right thing to do or not. And in a relationship, you are entitled to your own opinion. You're entitled to your own rights, your own beliefs, your own morals, your own values. Obviously, if they really don't match up and you are struggling to be in a relationship with a person where you just think everything they say and the things they're saying is not good, then don't be with each other. It's better to not be with someone than in a relationship with the wrong person. But you're never going to agree on everything. There's going to be some things where you both have different opinions, and it's just the way it is, and you have to accept it. That their opinion and your opinion will never be the same. I think in a relationship, it comes down to if your morals, values, beliefs, and your fundamental core values and your goals, ambitions, and dreams can fit each other in and line up. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone's got the goal of traveling, I don't know, America for like 3 months and you hate traveling, that's not really going to work, is it? Do you know what I mean? If a person's like sharing their opinion saying I hunt animals and personally I can't stand animal hunters, I'm not going to be in a relationship with that person. They might have they're entitled to their own opinion, but at the end of the day, I'm getting the heck out of there because I will not be around someone who agrees with hunting animals. I don't agree with it. It's disgusting. But even in life, like, you might have family that have very different values and beliefs and morals to you. Like, some of my parents are very against fox hunting, which I'm really glad about because I can't stand fox hunting. I don't agree with it. But my grandma, who's no longer with me, her side of the family, they used to have hounds and fox hunt, which was my grandma's mum, I think it was, and so that was really, and I think my grandma even, like, wasn't opposed to that like I am. I hate it and can't stand it, so that's very difficult. I still love my grandma implicitly, but it's very difficult when you got someone who agrees with something you don't and has got a different opinion to you. That's why in relationship it's very important you get someone who's going to share a lot of your ideology and your ideas, and like, whilst not being exactly the same, it's very important you have your core fundamental beliefs in action. Like, I could be with someone who's atheist even though I believe in God to a certain extent in my own way, because I'm not strictly religious. I'm more spiritual than religious. I don't believe in the Holy Spirit, and I talk to God myself. And what I mean, so long as a person isn't shoving down my throat, don't ever like God, don't believe in God yourself, rah rah rah, and pushing their religion like that or non-religion onto me, then that'll be fine. Same as I could be with someone who was a Buddhist, I could be with someone who probably was a Jew or Muslim, so long as their religion didn't harm me at all, or didn't push me into situations I was uncomfortable with. I think some Muslim stuff can be very bad towards women, for example, whereas some Muslim guys are fine, the way they are with women. Other ones are not, and they believe they own a woman's body. So it's all to do with ideology, beliefs, and like, it's always better to get friends around you who believe similar things as well and have a similar sort of opinions, even though it's good to have some difference of opinions as well, and you always will. You don't want someone who's totally into something and you're totally against it, because that's just going to rub each other up the wrong way. But you are entitled to your own opinion. There might be times where there is something that you just can't agree on, and you can express yourself in the relationship and say, look, it's my opinion, I can't, I'm not going to change on it, it's just the way it is. I still love you, still want to be with you, but it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? And see if you can work through that. And you have the right to be taken seriously. This is another thing that's so important. So a manipulator won't allow you to have your own opinion. They will literally won't take you seriously. They'll be basically laughing at you, or they'll be belittling you or putting you down, or making you feel like your opinion is worth nothing. It doesn't matter. They'll drown out your voice. They won't listen to you. They'll cut you off. They'll push down your opinion. They won't want to hear it. They won't accept it as your opinion. So that's someone who's abusive. You need to avoid those type of people that are basically not letting you have any opinions of your own. Like I said, what's really difficult for me in my past is when I would express an opinion of something I wanted to do or thought was a good idea, and they'd be like, well, don't come back to me when or I'll be here to pick up the pieces, or hope the weather keeps fine for you. And it's just horrible, because it makes you feel, I still struggle this day, but I'm not as bad as I was. I'm trying to like just trust myself more and more, because it's horrible when you got someone like that all the time consistently saying that to you. because it literally makes you feel like you can't make any of your own decisions, and anything you do make will go badly wrong, and so therefore you're like a danger to yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very, I think, mind manipulating personally. That, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just like you can't trust yourself because you're going to be wrong, because that person knows better than you. But how can that person possibly know better for you than that they're not you? And also sometimes you have to let people learn by their own mistakes, even if people don't agree with it, like you may be able to see that someone's going to get into a relationship and you think it's bad for them, and you could say, I'm not sure that person's quite right for you. But at the end of the day, that if in their opinion the person's right and good for them, you have to just let them be and go and be in that relationship. And if it turns out badly, you shouldn't say I told you so. You should just be there for them. In the past, I've had friends that have got into bad relationships. I've even had friends that stay in bad relationships longer than they should be. I don't go around, and I at times I have pointed out, this person's not good for you in this way. I haven't said don't be with them. I said this person's not good for you in that way, because I wouldn't be being a friend if I didn't say something. But in those situations, you usually have jumped to that person's defense, because if you are in a situation where the person's abusing you or manipulating you, you can jump to that person's defense because you feel defensive for them, because you're trying to convince yourself they're fine to be in a relationship with them, that you've done the right thing, even if you haven't. But, you have to let a person make their own choices and their own decisions. And, even if you don't agree with them, or even if you think, I don't think that's going to last or work. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you think that, you've got to be very careful if they're with an abuser, because you can actually push them towards the abuser more. The more you undermine their own opinion and their own feelings about the abuser, the more likely they are to stay with the abuser. So you've got to kind of say it in a way that I don't think this person's treating you well or being good for you. Sharing your opinion, not telling them, well, don't be with him, he's no good for you, because that'll probably push the person more towards the other person a lot of the time. I wish, though, that some people had turned around to me in the past and said, look, this guy's no good for you, he's not treating you very well, and I want you to be able to get out of the relationship, because I don't think he's any good for you, and I love you, and I think you deserve to be treated better. I always let a person make their own decision, but then I do help them out when it goes wrong. Yeah, exactly, Ray. And I never say I told you so. I don't do that. It's a horrible thing. It's not a good friend who does that. I think it's good, if someone is being abusive to a friend, that you do talk to them about it, and bring it up to them, because your friend might actually want you to be able to see that you're there with an abuser and want you to help them and to get them out of it, or to, it's not really your place to get them out of it, but to understand that that person is abusing. Because in the past, I've had abusers and no one could see they're abusing me because they did it behind closed doors. And some people close to me thought, oh, they're fine, and it's me that's the problem. I'm like, and it wasn't. Then they found out later it wasn't as well. Even counsellors, we had couple counselling, me and my ex, and even the couple counsellors thought I was a problem. And then in the end, they're like, oh, I can see what he's really like now. And he convinced the blooming therapist. It was like couple counselling, but it's like therapists. He convinced them even that it was all my fault. I'm like, how the hell did he manipulate them? And the guy he manipulated, one of them, was a top trainer for like mental health, couple stuff. I'm like, what the heck? And because they wrote me a letter saying they were concerned about him when he was the one that was abusing me. It was really bad because of my behaviour, because he made me so upset and angry that I was really crying and really showing a lot of emotion in the sessions. And then they made out they were really worried about him, that I was the one who was really bad and everything, and wrote me a letter. And I was I was referred to them from another counsellor, and they said something really bad to me. I can't even remember. My mind doesn't remember it. But the counsellor I was seeing said I could report them for being bad towards me and saying stuff they shouldn't be saying. So, for my ex to be able to manipulate professionals that have been therapists for years, I mean, what it must have taken for someone to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? It takes a really manipulator to be able to do that. And I could always see him for what he is, but I've always been able to see people for what they are like people even at school that are not nice people, and it's very difficult sometimes. It's like I can see things that other people can't even see, and it just drives you crazy after a while yourself. That's why I'd rather stay single a lot of the time. But you know what I mean? There's like, you know, there's people even now, some people that I know of that, you know, they've got two sides to them. And I've seen both sides, the really nice side and the not so nice side. But other people are only seeing the nice side of them, and it's like, well, they're not all they appear to be. Do you know what I mean? So it's very weird when you have that sensation. And it's very weird when, you know, like if you've got abusers, they can manipulate actually people who are supposed to help you, like to not be abused. But yeah, you know, so I'm glad I'm still here. I'm glad I'm alive, and I'm glad I got away from that person. Um, but it's very important that you do have your own opinions, because an abuser will make you feel like your whole opinions are invalidated, that they don't exist, you know? And I wish really I had had someone saying to me years ago that this person is abusing you, because when you've got other people that don't think they are and they just see the outside, you know, it's kind of like if you're the only one who thinks they're abusing you, or maybe you don't want to think that, but you kind of know it subconsciously, then it kind of like, it keeps you in hiding and secret about it, so that it kind of like compounds the abuse, because no one else knows about it, and you feel you can't tell anyone because they don't believe you, or they don't trust you, or they don't see it, you know. And I sometimes I wish I'd had someone. I don't necessarily think I would have left the person, I was that drawn into him, but I think it would have been better if someone said, look, this guy is abusing you, I'm worried about you, I really care about you, and I love you, you know, I want you to be happy, you know, that type of thing would have been like better if I'd had someone to talk to, and just someone there for me, whether I'd still been with him or not. I probably would have still been with him, to be honest. He had like this spell over me. It's very bizarre. But just to have someone on my side. But if I'd have been feeling good about myself, and so good that I didn't need him and to be with him, then I think it would have been different, you know, in that respect. But it's not up to someone else to like get me out of it. It was up to myself. But you know, I can't go near him. You know, I have to stay clear of him. But it's really important that you are allowed to express your own opinion, that you don't have someone making you think that everything you do and every decision you make is wrong or bad for you, you know? Because it does. It just makes you like feel that you can't do anything or make any decisions, you know? It's like I have to make decisions all the time, as an adult, especially if you have businesses, you know. It's very difficult sometimes, you know. And I thought, you know, years ago I was taught like, oh, you can't make any mistakes, you can't fail, failure's bad if you do, like, you know. But actually sometimes we have to fail at things in order to succeed. We have to make mistakes in order to get better and improve our lives. If we just do nothing all the time, if our life is so good and always going well in every single thing, it's like, what are we actually learning? We don't really learn anything. We usually learn mostly from our mistakes and our failures, or I don't think of anything as a failure, really. I think of life as lessons we learn from. So I don't really think I can ever fail, in terms of like, you know, you can always learn something. Do you know what I mean? By every single thing, even when you get angry or something goes wrong, you can learn by that. So, you know, someone actually said, entrepreneur a long time ago, you know, you can't fail. You can only, there's no failures in life. There's only lessons you learn from. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's so true. Like, even though I wished I hadn't had the abuse I had, you know, I have all those experiences to learn from. Do you know what I mean? If I hadn't had them, I wouldn't be able to learn anything. I mean, I don't wish what I had on anyone, to be quite honest. It was like being in bloody mental prison, excuse me, for years. But, you know, at least I can help others now, which is the benefit of it. Do you know what I mean? A real benefit. So, what else have we got? Oh, you have the right to earn and control your own money. This is so important. So, oh, Sam, yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Oh, thank you. So, yeah, you have the right to have your own money and to be in control of it. This is so important. I've come across people who actually who are guys whose woman was keeping their money from them and not allowing them to have their money. And sadly, this goes on with people who have some mental health problems these days. Sometimes their parents or guardian or someone will have their money and they might not give them the full money. And so I know people who are carers for people. They say they're carers, and yet they don't do anything for the person, and they're taking all their money and they're giving like £10 to the person who needs a care to live on for food and stuff. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, to be honest. You know what I mean? I don't think that should be allowed to happen. I know someone who's a family friend and their daughter controls all their money because they're not supposed to be able to know about money themselves, which is ridiculous. You know, and they give her £10 to live on for food, and they bring all her frozen meals for her, but she's got £10 in her purse, so if she wants to go to shop, that's all she's got. You know, it's ridiculous. It's so controlling. Yet because she's supposed to be a little bit backwards or simple, people don't believe her or don't take her seriously. I think it's really disgusting, to be honest. I've known this woman since I was a kid, in birth certificate age. You know, I'm still a kid now, but I just think it's disgusting. I think it's a very abusive, to be honest. I think people should be allowed to have their own money, you know, and I think it's really disgusting when they get money for caring with them and they don't even care for that person. I think it's horrible. Do you know what I mean? And personally, you know, like, unless you really want to, I would never, you know, or you're going like insane or have Alzheimer's or something like that, I wouldn't ever have power of attorney on your account. Do you know what I mean? Because if you have power of attorney ever on your account, your account, literally a person can take over your account. They can take your money in and out. They can, like, sometimes when people have got Alzheimer's or they're not in their right mind anymore, they're very, very old, their family like will have ask for power of attorney, which means they can sign checks or forms on their behalf. And you know, so you'd have to get someone you really, really trust if you're going to do that. Obviously, if you're really, really that age, you might need to do or think about doing it, but don't do that in an ordinary relationship where you are in your full mind. And you know, I know someone, I can't remember who told me, but someone told me that someone was asking for power of attorney on their account, and I'm like, don't do that. Just don't ever do that. It's bad. You don't want someone controlling your money and having complete control over your accounts, being able to write checks and going in and out. Just don't do it. You don't need to do it unless you're in a real situation where you know, you can't think, you got Alzheimer's or, you know, that type of thing. If you really can see that you're going to need that, you just don't do it. And personally, if I'm in a relationship, I like to have my own bank accounts. I've had one shared account in my life, but that was not for everything. That was for like meant to be for bills and stuff. But I had one share account. But I don't want to do that again. I don't like having shared accounts. I really don't. If I'm in a relationship, I want to keep my own money in my own accounts. That's the way it is. I don't want to share accounts again. I don't agree with that. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I like my own money. I like living separately, to be honest with you. Then the guy can spend what the heck he wants on his money in his place, and I can do what I want in mine. Because it's something that I really hated in a relationship was when my ex used to go spend loads of money on things, in my opinion, that didn't really matter and weren't very practical. And money is one of the things that busts people up in relationships, you know, split up over. So he would have spend money on video games, the latest designer clothing. Yeah, I was struggling with the bed he had in his place because it was like a second-hand one he bought. You could feel the springs of it. It really hurt my back, but he didn't care about that. It's like, oh, it'll do. You're only here like twice a week or whatever. That's really selfish and unthoughtful and uncaring. Do you know what I mean? He'd rather like look good and, you know, like, I don't, it's horrible when you live with a person as well. They're earning a lot more money than you. And so all your money is going nearly on bills. You haven't got any money to pay for any luxuries or any leisure stuff you want to do for yourself. And they're just spending loads of their own money out on this, that, and the other. You know, it's something that I don't like. But if a person has his own place, spending money as place, designing it, whatever he wants, and I'm spending money on my own place, got my own money, doing what I like, then that's fine. Because it doesn't matter what the heck he does, because it doesn't affect me, because I'm not living with him. So I'm not there thinking, oh, all my money's going out on bills, blah, blah, blah. It's not, he can do what the heck he wants in his home. You know, but if I'm going over there to spend time and I'm staying over there like I'm partly living there as well, then it does affect me. You know, then I would, you know, like I want someone to get a decent bed for me because especially as I have fibro, I can't be sleeping on a bed like that with horrible springs. You know, I think if a partner loves you, they should be spending money on your comfort as well. Not just spending money on you for willy-nilly's sake and just because you want them to spend money on you, but for practical stuff like that and comfort, I think it's important if they can do that for you. My parents took all mine. I used to earn 200 out of what, or out of that I would get 20. Yeah, that is disgusting, Ray. That is total control and manipulation. And that's what some of them do. My parents were never like that, by the way. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I know people have come in across that. I've come across that say they've had that done. It's horrible. You know, absolutely horrible. I would never share my accounts with a partner. I always have my own money. I've shared one. I did set up a bank account with that person, with one of my exes, not with the last ex, with another ex, and that was for like shared bills and things. I think we actually put money in there to save up for things together. We each put equal amount in, and had a book between us that we could get access to the money. But I mean, it wasn't a bad. I don't think it was a bad experience per se, but I just don't want to do it. You know, once you split up, it's kind of like, who's going to get to that account first? Do you know what I mean? If the person who's going to completely take all your money out, or what? It's not good. I don't like it. I really don't. I don't think it's a good idea to share bank accounts. I think it's important to have your own account, your own money. And you should never have someone who wants to control your money and tell you what to do with it and only give you a proportion of your own money. Hi, Naila. Nice to see you. So we're moving on to the next one. You have the right to ask questions about anything that affects your life. So yes, you have the right to ask questions about anything that affects your life. So obviously when you are in a relationship, or even if you're living with your parents, then, you know, you have the right to ask about anything that affects your life. So if you're moving, if the person's asking you to do certain things. So for example, in a relationship, you know, you're gonna affect each other's lives. Do you know what I mean? And so say that your partner got a new job, right? And they were working nights and you couldn't see them very much. You know, that is kind of going to impact your life. Say they were getting up at different times and they were having the shower next door to your room and stuff like that, which has happened to me in the past where my exes worked different hours to me. But you have a right to ask about that. You have the right to ask about anything that affects your life and affects you. And when you're in a relationship, that's what's one of the most difficult things, is what they do, whatever their actions do a lot of the time, they can affect you, you know? And you have a right to be scared. You have a right not to be scared to ask those things. A person should be open and honest and able to be asked anything in life without someone saying, why are you asking that? What are you doing? Why do you want to know? You know, I've come across quite a few people like, oh, why do you want to know that? You know, it's of course like if you're living together, especially, things are going to affect your life. But even if you're not living together, you know, something is going to affect you. You know, like if for example, you're living separately and they decide to get a lodger, do you know what I mean? And you're going to be spending time around the house, you need to ask stuff like, well, what's happening with the lodger? Like where are they allowed to go in the house? Like, are they allowed to go all over the house? Do you still have your own room and all this type of thing? But you have the right to ask anything that affects your life, you know? You have the right to ask that. So you have the right to ask any questions about. And then the next one is you have the right to make decisions that affect you. Yes, which is what I was saying about opinions as well. Is that, you know, you have the right to make your own decisions about yourself and about your life, you know? People shouldn't be taking away the control you have in your own life by making decisions for you and telling you what to do. You know, you should be able to say, like, I want to go to this university, or I want to go to this college, or I want to take this job. You should be able to speak your own mind. Say, you know, like you know, if you want a certain food, you should be able to eat what food you want and things like that without, you know, someone telling you what to do. It's very, very important. You have the right to grow and change. And that includes changing your mind, which is what this video is all about. You have the right to change your mind. Now, when you have the right to change your mind, you have the right to change your mind about relationships, about what you do and do not like within the relationship. You have the right to change your mind about food you like, food you don't have you like. You have the right to change your mind about what you want to do with your life. You have the right to change your mind about your career. You have the right to change your mind about anything. Don't forget, the person has an equal right to change their mind about being in a relationship with you. And if you change your mind about things about yourself, they might also change their mind about being in a relationship with you. So, for example, you have the right to change your mind about anything, right? Because you are your own person. But you might decide you might decide that you don't want the lifestyle you've got at the moment, right? You might decide that, oh, right, well, instead of me being at home a lot of the time and doing cooking and cleaning and housework, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go out now and I want to be out, like partying 3 nights a week. I want to be out with my friends at the weekends, and therefore your partner might feel neglected, right? So just because you have the right to change your mind, and you can change your mind, doesn't mean to say that other person's got to accept it or like it. Do you know what I mean? So although you have the right to change your mind, so for example, like if someone's doing something sexual to you that you don't like, you have the right to change your mind. That's to do with safety. It should all be consensual. But don't forget that that person might need that sexual contact in a relationship. So, for example, if I got into a relationship with someone and I said I didn't want to be naked, right? And then I changed my mind and said I do want to be naked, right? I've changed my mind now. I have the right to change my mind, right? And so that's fine. But what happens again if 3 months later I decide to change back, right? I'm allowed to do that because it's my decision. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean to say that person's going to want to be with me and stay with me. Do you see what I mean? So although you have the right to change your mind, you have to look at it from an actual practical relationship point of view. That person also has a right to change their mind. You might become someone completely different. In relationships, some people change and you can drift apart. And you have the right to change your mind about career, where you live, what you're doing, but that will impact your partner in the relationship. So therefore, they have the right to change their mind about you. And they, if they choose and decide that the new lifestyle you want to live or lead is not right for them to be in a relationship with anymore, they can leave you and say goodbye to you. So you do have to understand that, you do have the right to change your mind about anything and everything, but you also have to know that that will impact other people and they may not like it, may not want to be with you anymore in relationships. So you have to understand that. I think most of the time when they were saying something like right to change your mind, that's about being in a relationship with an abuser, for example. Obviously, you have a right to change your mind. If you've got with someone and they're abusing you or manipulating you, you have a right to say, no, sorry, this relationship's not for me. But equally, if they're not abusing you, if you're not feeling right in the relationship, you just don't think it's right for you, you have the right to get in and say, I'm really sorry, I thought this was going to work, it doesn't, and walk away. You have the right to change your mind. But so does the other person have the right to change their mind too. So you've got to remember that. Naylor, my friend's brother knows my boyfriend. My friend's brother knows my boyfriend and his dad. I'm terrified because it's a church friend. My friend's brother knows my boyfriend and his dad. I'm terrified because it's a church friend. Well, what does it matter if they know your boyfriend? Why are you terrified, You're together in a relationship. Doesn't matter what people think, does it, at the end of the day? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter because your mum already knows you've got a boyfriend that's a different religion anyway. So, my mum is controlling. Mum doesn't let grow. I got to go. I wish light and love. I wish you light and love too, Naylor. Take care. Lots of love. Yeah, and I'm sorry. She's controlling. I know you've told me before. Yeah, take care, honey. Have a good one. Hope you feel good. So that's really, really important. You have the right to say no. This is really important. You have the right to say no. Like I will say no to lots of so-called business opportunities, and that is what a lot of people don't do, right? So obviously you have the right to say no in a relationship. So if there's something that someone's doing that's physical that you don't like, you have the right to say no, I don't like that. I do that quite a bit with if I'm out in a club with guys, I'll say no, don't touch me here. Like, I don't like a guy full on touching me on the breast. I'll say no, don't do that, don't put them there, don't do that. You know, if a guy's putting his hands on my bum, I might not like that, so I'll say no, don't do that. I'll like try and stop him, or you know, remove his hands and say no, don't do that. So you have the right to say no, and especially where it's to do with sexual stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? You have the right to say no about anything. You know, no one should be making you do something you don't want to do. You know, if you don't want to go out to a certain place, say no. If you don't want to say certain words, say no. If you don't want to do something, say no. Like, I say no to quite a lot of so-called business opportunities because, you know, if you keep saying yes to other people's stuff, it's other people's agendas. I can't get on with my own work and do my own stuff if other people are shoving their business ideas and telling them, oh, do this, do that. You know, I never get any of my own work done or my own business stuff. I know I'm not on a mission, their mission. I'm on my mission. Do you know what I mean? So I will say no to some business opportunities. There was a woman who a couple of months ago, she was on about me being in a book, and I said no, I can't. I've got too much work to do of my own. You know, and my story, I've already told my story in my own book. I put my story in every one of my books, and it's already published. I own the copyright to it. You know, and I'm like, I've got too much going on. I've got about 7 projects that I need to do myself. There's no way I can fit a book in as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I've already committed, you know, I've already committed to my own book and my own people, you know, and I've got to get back to doing that. You know, I've got to finish my asexual meetup mastery. So I'm going to get confused with a marketplace mastery course I'm doing soon, finishing soon. But asexual meetup mastery course, I've got to get back to finishing that. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very important that I get that finished, and then I can get on with finishing my Asexual Guide to Sex book. It won't be completed before Christmas this year, my Asexual Guide to Sex book, but I need to get the outstanding interviewees, you know, stories in and finished. I've got some of them that are almost finished that I need to finish, you know, before Christmas. It's very important I get back to that, you know. So I have to say no to a lot of things, you know, that people ask me. You know, there was a guy who asked me today, business guy that hasn't talked to me for months. Oh, hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And then he asked me if there's anything he could do for me in terms of business. I said, well, you can share this on you know, with your business people. And then they were like, oh, I need some help, want help. And then I'm like, what is it? And they're like, oh, to get me into Exeter. I want to work in Exeter, which is where I live. And I'm like, so I said, well, I can't help you with that. No, I said, I can give best advice I can give you is go on LinkedIn, create a profile and connect with other people who live in Exeter, business owners. And I said, you know, and I said the 3 ways of getting into the country. One is marriage, but you're already married, so that cancels that out. And the other one is you spend £16,000 a year on your education and get a student visa, but then you have to get work alongside that and be in this country for 5 years or more before you can ask for residency. Or you get some official job sponsor person to sponsor you. You know, you can't just get anyone to sponsor you. You have to go on the HMRC website and get someone to sponsor you. You know, an actual registered sponsor, job sponsorer in the UK. So, you know, I've told him, you know, so I did help him, really. I gave him as much advice as I could give him. That is it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get people all the time saying stuff like, can you help me with this, that, and the other? And it's a point where you have to say no. You know, it's like, no, I'm not doing this for free. You know what I mean? Do you work for free? And, you know, like, no to business opportunities because, you know, you have your own stuff that you're doing with, you know? It's like, well, someone invited me into one of their Facebook groups. I'm like, no, because I've got, you know, I'm not being very productive on my own work if I'm joining another group. I will join some groups, but I've got so many groups I have to say no sometimes, you know? And it's hard, you know. I had one of my friends ask me to one of their groups who watches this channel, and I had to say in a polite way, like, I see their page, I see a lot of the stuff that was in the group on their profile, so I didn't see why I needed to actually be in the group as well. But I felt a bit bad, you know, but I had to gently say that, you know, I run 5 groups on my own. I'm in so many groups, I don't have time to be in them and respond, which is true, I don't. I don't have time to be on all the groups. There's loads of groups I'm in that I don't ever speak in because I just don't have the time, you know. If I'm doing that, I'm doing nothing to help other people in life, you know. I have my own business stuff, you know. Sometimes you just have to say no, you know. It's like I have to stop watching so many YouTube videos. I'll still watch ones to do with dating relationships quite a bit. But some of the other ones I have to like think, no, Sandra, don't watch them because, you know, you're just taking up your life. And I know we're going off a bit of a tangent here because you know, it's true you have the right to say no, but it's true you have the right to say no with anything, and that includes in business. Because a lot of people, when they get in business, they just feel obliged to say yes to everyone. And no, you don't have to do that. Have to, guys, have a call out. Oh, take care. Go save some animals, Ray. Lots of love. Raphael. Oh, hi, Raphael. I don't know what you're saying to me because I don't speak your language, but I love your name. It's very beautiful. So, you have the right to make mistakes. This is so true. So like I said, no one's perfect in a relationship, and you are going to make some mistakes. You're going to probably hurt the person at some point, not meaning to. And you have to accept that sometimes that's going to happen and that you are going to make mistakes. You might say something that hurts their feelings, or you might say something that, you know, like doesn't sound quite right. You might snap at them, or you might make mistakes in your career or what you say to a person. And, you know, you are human beings, so you can't be perfect. You know what I mean? So you do have the right to make mistakes, and no one should punish you over and over again. So sometimes if you get with an abuser, they will bring the same mistake you made up over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they won't let it drop. Like, oh, you chose to do that career. Look how it turned out. Ha ha ha. And they'll make you feel like really bad over it. Do you know what I mean? That's not a good person who does that. You know what I mean? You have the right to make your own mistakes, you know? Like, you have to let some people go as well and make their own mistakes or make their own. Like, I don't really think there's any mistakes in such in life. I just think there's lessons we learn from anyway. But obviously, you know, you might make a mistake, as in say something hurtful to a friend or say something hurtful in a relationship every now and again. Say something that doesn't sound quite right, it was insensitive because you've got a different experience to them. You know, there was a friend a long time ago who said one thing. They haven't said anything since that upset me, but I said something to them about that one thing, you know, and they were really worried I wasn't going to be friends with them anymore, I think. But, you know, it was fine. I forgave them. I can't even remember I can remember what it's about now, but yeah, I forgave them because they, you know, they're not usually saying stuff, and they were just being insensitive because they got a completely different experience than me, and completely different, the opposite experience, and they were kind of projecting their experience onto me, and therefore not understanding and being insensitive of why I felt that way. But, you know, it's more to do with the sense that they didn't understand me. That's what I was really upset about. That they didn't, I felt they didn't understand me and care about me in that way. Not because of what they were saying so much as the fact that I felt they didn't understand me when the rest of the time I felt they did. So, you know, sometimes your friends are going to cock up. But as long as they're not doing it horribly, maliciously or intentionally, and it's not, you know, they're consistently doing that every single time you see them or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be perfect, are they? Like, I've been best friends with my female friend now for over 7 years, and we're very different in some ways. So sometimes we might say things that's not necessarily what the other person wants to hear, and we have to be very open and honest about things with each other. They're usually a lot more open sometimes than I am sometimes, because they're very like bold in what they say. But like several months ago, I had to say something. It was my truth, and it was kind of hard saying that to a friend. It wasn't a mistake I made. It was right to say it. It's a mistake not saying something sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's a mistake leaving things so long, saying stuff so long, but I didn't want to lose that person. So you can make mistakes like saying stuff you shouldn't, and also not saying stuff, you know? And you know, like in a relationship, you could make a mistake by not saying something. Do you know what I mean? Like, to give the person reason to doubt you. So it's not always about what you do say and do, it's about what you don't as well. But you do have the right to make mistakes. Everyone has a right. We are human beings, and you're going to make them. And it's better, you know, that you know that. You know, if you get into a serious relationship, it's better to know that sometimes they are probably going to cock up sometimes and either annoy you, irritate you, piss you off, or get a bit angry with you occasionally, or get upset, or start feeling a bit neglected sometimes. Obviously, hopefully the person will be able to tell you, say, oh, look, I'm feeling a bit upset now, I've been a bit neglected, I haven't heard from you for like, in a relationship, like I haven't heard from you for like a whole day or something. Do you know what I mean? It makes me feel like disconnected from you. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously it might be really busy. It might be like, oh, sorry, I was just so busy, like for 10 hours or something, or this happened, that happened, family stuff happened, I didn't realise, I forgot, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, things happen, don't they, in life? But, you might make a mistake where you say something and you didn't mean to hurt the person. But as long as, you're not doing it maliciously, intentionally, or trying to belittle them, that's fine. You have the right to make mistakes yourself, and don't beat yourself up if you don't be perfect. You're not going to be perfect, Like, I've bought some software for my businesses, and, like, it just hasn't worked. And I, like, some of that's like, do you know what I mean? Like, one thing I bought's like 130 quid, is it? It just doesn't work. You could argue that's a mistake, but it's like, well, I tried, supposed to work, works for loads of other people, just don't work for me, And then there's something else I bought, and I bought it for one of the purposes they said it was going to do, and it didn't ever do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But they said it was a coming feature, not that it actually was at that time. As the coming feature never actually came. Well, apparently there is a way of doing it, but the way I tried to do it, what they told me, didn't work. So, sometimes with business, like I bought a theme once, and that didn't work. So I had to get my money back on the end of it. I did actually get my money back on that because I could prove that it didn't actually work. It caused my website to crash. But there's other times where I've spent money on things for business and it just doesn't work. But you can only find that out by trying it out and doing it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes in business you have to do things that don't go quite right to know what doesn't go right, to know what the right stuff is. You kind of like, some of my books sell really well. Like my Asexual Perspectives book sells well every month. So I obviously need to write more books for asexuals, which is what I love to do. But then some of my other books, like particularly one, it doesn't, like a social media book doesn't currently make any money because I haven't updated it, which is my mistake not updating it. Excuse me, but it's not a very expensive book anyway. It's a really inexpensive book, and it's I'd rather spend my time doing asexual books now that people enjoy reading, that get more sales. So you could argue I made a mistake by doing that book, but I didn't, because it got quite a few sales in the beginning, and it's a very good book. It just means that it's a social media book actually, and people have moved on. The social media's moved on, so I need to update. I've actually done screenshots to do an up-to-date version of it, but I haven't had time, and I got more important things to do, more productive things that's going to make me more money and give me better investments. So sometimes you have to let things go. Like I've had to let some domains go this year. They weren't a mistake as such, but there were things I didn't need in the end. And you could argue, well, I've wasted all that many years of money on them. Well, it's a mistake buying them in the first place because I didn't need them. I didn't know I wasn't going to need them. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was. And, it's just something that happens. So you have the right to make mistakes in your life, in your business, and to change your mind about what you're doing. Right. You have the right. Oh, I love this one. You have the right not to be responsible for another adult's problems. I'll read that again. You have the right to not be responsible for another adult's problems. This is a really, really, really important one, right? Because, you might have some people that come into your life, one in a relationship, and they come with a lot of problems. They come with a lot of problems, like they're depressed. They want you to fix them and make them better. That's not your problem. That's not what you're in a relationship for. A person shouldn't come to a relationship like so broken that they've got nothing to give you and they don't even love themselves. Do you know what I mean? That person's problem's not your problem. You're like, if someone has an alcohol problem, that problem's not your problem. If you're in a relationship with them, it can affect you, but it's not up to you to cure them. It's not up to you to get into a relationship with anyone and cure them of their problems, their illnesses. Like I've been in relationships in the past with people that I thought I could save. That I thought, I could see the potential in them and I could see they want to change. Like, for example, my last long-term ex, right, of 8.5 years, he was good at the very, very beginning of our relationship. I always had in my mind that he would change back to that person that I fell in love with, to be quite honest, years ago. I don't even like using that word about him. But that's what I always thought. And I just kept praying one day go back. And I was so determined. I just thought, I know there's a good person there. It's got to be in there somewhere. And finally, 8.5 years later, I realised that his problems are not my problems. That he wasn't going to change back, and I kind of wasted all that life with him thinking he would, because I believed in him that he would change back, but I was wrong. What I should have done is walked away. What I should have done is loved myself. What I should have done is believed that I would be okay on my own. But I couldn't even be on my own back then. I was so used to being in a relationship nearly all my life that I just couldn't be on my own. So I reprogrammed my mind using neuro-linguistic programming to be happy being single. And I say it's worked really well, because now I don't know if I could be in a relationship long term a lot of the time, because I'm just thinking I've so much programmed my mind to be single, happy being single. I don't know if I'd be suitable to be in a relationship. Part of me thinks I would, but the other part's like, I like my single life too much. Maybe I'm just too much of a single life person at the moment. I've been young, free, single, happy. Don't have to worry about a guy, to be honest. Apart from my friends who I like worrying about and caring about. It's different. But yeah, it's just like, do you know what I mean? It's just so important. Yeah. So you have the right to not be responsible for another adult's problems. So I'm just like, I know we're still on this subject, but it's really important that, like if they've got mental health problems, it's not your problem. If they've got an alcohol problem, it's not your problem. If they've got a drugs problem, it's not your problem. So don't go into a relationship trying to be a helper and a changer. Don't go into a relationship with the fantasy that they're going to change how they are and not the reality they are the way they are. You either accept them the way they are right now in the moment, or you don't be in a relationship with them. Or you say, this is what's going to happen for you to be in a relationship with me if you want one. These are the things that I require in a relationship. And that person changes to be those things naturally because they want to, not because you've told them to, or you don't be in a relationship with them. Do you know what I mean? But their problems, not your problems. Don't, like if someone gets angry and say, oh, you're making me angry and you're making me this, that, and the other, and I've got all these problems to deal with at work, and it's different if someone's sharing problems with you. Of course, they've got to share their problems and concerns and things. But what I'm saying is, they can't make you responsible for their life and the decisions they make. You can get to the, you can get a person that blames you for everything that goes wrong in their life, for example, and that, like, for example, a narcissistic trait is when something goes wrong in their life, you have nothing to do with that particular situation directly or control over it, yet they blame you for it. Do you know what I mean? So one of the exes that I had, he used to phone me up during his work time when I told him he should be working. And he used to text me loads and I used to text back. And obviously, if someone's working, I don't expect them to answer my text there and then when they're working. A lot of the time, they should have their phone switched off anyway. They can answer it when they're not working, if they're working for an employer, particularly, But I didn't know that they'd answered one of my texts when they were working and they got into trouble for it. But instead of them taking it on the chin that they were responsible for their own actions in choosing to look at that message during work time, they then blamed me when I didn't even know that even happened. So yeah, you have the right to not be responsible for other person's problems, and that includes, if they've got debt. If you've got a guy or person who gets into debt and they owe loads of money, it's not up to you to go and pay it off for them. Do you know what I mean? Their problems aren't your problem. It's like if someone comes to you about a business thing and tries to make you feel guilty that you're not helping them to get leads. Their problem's not your problem. It's not up to you to get them leads. It's up to them to get themselves leads. Do you know what I mean? If someone's like acting like their life is coming to an end because they're so miserable, yes, it's bad. Yes, it's sad. Yes, it's upsetting. But it's not up to you to get into a relationship to change that for them. It's like if someone's like, I can't get into the country. It's up to you to help me to get into the country. No, it's not. Their problem is not your problem. I've had this from foreign guys. I've had this in private message. You need to help me get into your country. It's like, no, I don't need you to help you get in my country. That's their problem, not my problem. I even said that. I had an Indian guy, actual Indian guy recently, message me from the UK singles group. That's not an asexual dating group. That's a sexual dating group I'm in. And he was like, I don't even know if I still got his message, actually. Let me see if I still got his message. And I said, your problem's not my problem. So it's really interesting. Like, it was really, and he used a manipulation technique. So I'm going to actually tell you what he said because it's very interesting. Right. Listen to this, right? If I can load it. Here we go. Right. So he sent me a friend's request, right? From UK Singles. This is a dating group. It's not an asexual one. And I put, hi, thanks for connecting, but I'm looking for a guy in the UK and you are in India and I don't want kids or marriage either and not into LDR, long distance relationship. He's put, hi. He's put, I'm Indian, but I live in UAE, United Arab Emirates, that means. And I put, nice to meet you. Well, I live in the UK and looking for a guy in the UK for a long-term committed monogamous relationship, but no sex, no marriage, and no kids. And I prefer to live on my own, but my guy to live near me in the UK. That is very different to your culture, and I'm not looking for a long-distance relationship. Then he's put, okay, I want to move there. Remember those words. I put, well, when you have the money to move and you can get a visa of your own accord without marriage and you actually live in this country, then get back to me. And if I'm still single, maybe we can have a date in a public place. If you can come visit me in my city. But until a guy is actually living in the UK with the correct visa of his own accord, I am not interested. So it's very important that you say this to people, right? Because their problem of getting to the UK is not your problem. Okay, this is something that's very pertinent to the thing I've just mentioned. Their problem is not your problem. It's not your problem. I have a lot of people wanting to get in this country and they seem to think it's my problem. It's not my problem. They don't want to put the time, hard work and effort into actually what it does take to get in the country and be bothered to look for themselves, a lot of them. Really annoys me. But, and then he goes, I am also looking for a long-term relationship. I put, great. So I repeat again. When you have the money to move and you can get a visa of your own accord without marriage and you actually live in this country, then get back to me. And if I'm still single, maybe we can have a date in a public place if you can come visit me in my city. But until a guy's actually living in the UK and the correct visa of his own accord, with the correct visa of his own accord, I'm not interested. Okay, Canada visa. I have. Meaning he's got a Canadian visa. See, because I like Indian guys, because I know so much about what goes on with them and what they can and can't get. I know they can get a visa for the USA and Canada, but they can't get one to the UK. And I put, I am asexual, not heterosexual. And well, I am in the UK, not Canada. He put, I know. I put, I know the problems Indian guys have with getting into the UK. That is their problem, not mine. So I specifically said to him, that is their problem, not mine. See? And listen to this, right? Bear in mind, he said earlier, I want to move to the UK, right? This is how he switched it around on me. I'm not interested, UK, okay? I have already 10-year multiple visa Canada. Last month, I gone Canada. My family in Canada and UK, but I'm not interested in UK. So if I friend request me from a single group, if you knew I lived in the UK, and then he's given me a thumbs up, and then he started saying hi again. Do you know what I mean? These people are absolutely insane. So he's gone from saying, I want to move to the UK, to I'm not interested in moving to the UK. Like, oh yeah, I'm not interested. Like, no, back off. I'm not interested. I'm not coming to your country. Like, I've done something wrong. You know what I mean? These people are absolutely mind manipulators and crazy people. Do you know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good at all. Do you know what I mean? So you have the right to say, no, their problem is not my problem. It's like that guy wanting to come to Exeter. and was like expecting me to help get him over it. It's like, no. Do you know what I mean? I have a friend who did emigrate to the Philippines and got married. British friend, right? Blogger friend. And he said if you were to want to get a foreign person of your own accord into the UK, your own accord, as a British citizen, they would have to have at least £60,000 to do that. More like 70,000, I think it was, but a minimum of 60,000 to get someone over here of your own accord. Like, I haven't got that sort of money, and even if I did have, I wouldn't use it to spend getting someone I didn't know into the country. I don't want marriage. I wouldn't spend it. I wouldn't pay anything to anyone abroad. I don't do that type of thing. If anyone from abroad asks you money, don't give it to them. Right? Just don't let them whittle you like, oh, I haven't got money for this, that, and the other. Right? If you want to give to charity, fine. I'm not saying don't do that. Right? But don't give strangers money that you don't even know off the internet. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you have the right not to be liked by everyone. This is a really important thing. You have the right not to be liked by everyone. This is so important. So a lot of people in life, they think it's their duty and what they're supposed to do is to be liked by everyone. They think, I'm here in life, everyone's supposed to like me because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to upset anyone. So everyone's supposed to like me. Because if they don't like me, it means I'm hurting their feelings or upsetting them in some ways because I'm causing them unlike towards me, right? That's kind of like how we're kind of brought up, a lot of us as well. Do you know what I mean? Not everyone. I was brought up to speak my own mind. So I kind of knew not everyone's going to like me doing that. But, you do have the right not to be liked by everyone. And you shouldn't even want to be liked by absolutely everyone in terms of like, it means pleasing everyone. If you're just designed in life to keep the peace, you're not really being your true authentic self or having a backbone. Do you know what I mean? You have the right not to be liked by everyone. I know doing this channel, not everyone's going to like me. And if you are into business, like specifically entrepreneurship and stuff, you are going to get people who are divided, people who love you and people who hate you. And they say if you're doing well in business, it's if you have more haters. And the reason they say that is because when you become more and more successful, people do tend to get jealous of you and they tend to put you down, and they tend to some of them even want to be in your position. They're like, why has she got to be in that position? They don't realize that it takes years of hard graft and slog, and that you're working God knows how many hours every minute of the day to get that business up and going and to run it and to put all the time and energy effort into it. They just see results that they wish they had themselves. And some people are going to hate what you say. Like some people on this channel, obviously, that come on here that are not asexual, they'll not like the fact that I hate sex and don't like it and don't ever want to do it. Do you know what I mean? They might hate me for that, They hate me for the fact I'm just doing an asexual channel because they don't agree or respect asexuality, And there'll be other people that will hate me because I mention sex sometimes. And obviously, if they're asexual, sex repulsed, I do understand where they're coming from. Because I'm more explicit than some of the sexuals I know when I'm talking on this channel. I openly admit that, which is, it's weird for me, but I think I've just got so used to saying sexual stuff now because I got so used to talking to people, especially in private message. Because although a lot of people I talk to in private message are asexual, they sometimes have some sexual background or do some sexual acts. And so I have to be able to speak to them logically, openly, and educationally and informatively about it. And so I'm so busy talking about sex a lot of time, even if I have no relevance to my life whatsoever, really, apart from I'm talking about it, that it's just like water off a duck's back. It's like I don't even think about it half the time anymore. So when I'm being explicit, kind of like the explicitness when I'm talking about it, I don't even think about it being explicit anymore. Whereas if it had been me years ago, I'd have been cringing listening to me, to be quite honest with you, So I do get where people are coming from. And some people, they do get jealous of other people. Some people, like some people just hate for hating. They like being miserable. They like going around moaning and hating on people. You get some people that go around trolling YouTube channels, and it's what they like to do. They feel good that they're writing horrible messages, nasty messages to people. There was someone in an entrepreneur group that I came across. Well, actually, it wasn't an entrepreneur group. It was a YouTube group. That's right, because I'm in a YouTube group. And I haven't been in it for a very long time, this group, but I wanted to promote this channel because I've never promoted it before. So I might get some more sexuals over this channel because I don't expect many of those people in that group is going to be asexual. But they were talking about different problems with getting subscribers. And to be honest, I'm doing quite well seeing a lot of them. Like some of them are like, I've only got 160 subscribers, or I've only just got 100. And I'm like thinking, I'm doing quite well. I've got 530 something. Do you know what I mean? So, they're struggling. I'm thinking, well, I see people on other asexual channels, they got many more subscribers than me. I think I'm doing well. And to be honest, it is better to have a community that's more engaged and listening to what you have to say than thousands of more subscribers who don't really care that much or not that really engaged or not really here that much of the time and can't benefit. Do you know what I mean? It's better to have loyal followers. Do you know what I mean? It's really important. These videos do get a lot more views than subscribers, actually. I think that's because people come across it and they're like not necessarily asexual and they don't want to admit they've been viewing it. They probably secretly like it and love it. But this person on YouTube said they was getting one person, they were just making horrible comments on all their videos. But I mean, I said to them, yes, the haters actually do help your channel. If you get trolls and people who give you thumbs down, some of those do help because they help raise awareness of the channel, because the algorithm works on YouTube that the more interaction you have, positive and negative, the more your channel goes up in the rankings. So even when I get trolled and they keep conversation going, they're trolling, they're actually helping promote asexuality when they don't even realize it, because it's getting more visibility, because it's getting more engagement, and that comes up in my analytics, and therefore YouTube wants to show your videos to more people, because the better you do, the more people they want to show it to. So actually, thanks for the thumbs up, appreciate that. So actually the haters can become some of your allies without wanting to be. They're indirectly doing what they don't want to do. They're indirectly helping your channel. Even some thumbs down. I don't want to get loads of thumbs down, but I do want more thumbs up, thumbs down. But if they do that, they do get visibility on the videos. They do get the algorithm to say, oh, this video's got an activity going on in it. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how YouTube works. And so yeah, sometimes, like haters may hate, but they're actually doing you a favor. Even in the YouTube group, they said that, this person's like actually helping me out. But I said, yeah, but if it gets too much, block them, because they were just doing like every one of that person's videos and all the comments. And it can just get too much. I said, you can't just go and block them. It helps you out for a while, but if they get too bad, just block them. That's what I do. I mean, I don't block everyone, but I do block some, because you don't need it. It's just ridiculous. And that's what the block is there for. I mean, and if they haven't got anything good to say about this channel, it's pretty much ridiculous and keep coming on it every 5 minutes if they were doing that, So I would just block them or, get rid of their comments. You can moderate comments these days, or hold them or delete them. Well, I don't know if you can actually fully delete them. You can hide them on the channel. So particularly chat, I don't know what you can do about others. There's a lot more that YouTube are doing these days to help you filter out spam and horrible comments. They even say at the top now, make sure the comments are kept, like relevant and nice, basically. So YouTube are doing a lot more about that, which I'm really pleased about. So, but yeah, even the haters can help you, not realizing it. But you can't be popular if you're being liked. If you want to be liked all the time, you're not being your true authentic self. You're basically being like a chameleon that changes to whoever is around you and likes to keep the peace. Actually, to be honest, I would never want to be in a relationship with a guy who just wants to keep the peace, because that type of guy would never stick up for me. Do you know what I mean? If I was being bullied or upset by other people, they wouldn't stick up for me because they want to keep the peace. And what if it was a family member or friend they had and their friend was being nasty to you? I'm not telling them they shouldn't be friends with that person, but, if their friend was saying something insulting, I probably wouldn't like the fact I was friends with them if they were saying insulting stuff. But if they were just going to sit there and let the person insult me and not say anything to me, like, what type of person does that make them to me? Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want them to just sit there, and a people pleaser would just sit there and not doing anything because they don't want to upset anyone. So, and I don't want a guy, whilst I want a guy who respects women, who's kind to women, I don't want a guy who just wants to please all women, because a guy who wants to please all women, some of them can wrap the guy around their little finger. And I need a guy with a bit of a backbone who can see that not all women are good, you know? I don't want to have to worry about my man going off with another woman and her emotionally manipulating him to, like, doing stuff for her. Or, you know, like, trying to get into a relationship with him. I want him to be able to see her for who she is. And that'll mean sometimes telling a girl where to stick it. Like, I got a girlfriend, pee off. Basically, if you don't like it, lump it. I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? And so I don't like passive people, to be honest, to be in a relationship with. I don't like that. I don't like that type of guy where they're passive and they're just like, whatever comes their way, they'll just accept. I like a guy who'll stick up and have some backbone and, you know, who'll stick up for me as well. You know, he's not a people pleaser. You know, if I was a people pleaser, I wouldn't do this channel. Do you know what I mean? I just wouldn't, you know. And, you know, you're going to get some people who don't like you or what you do, you know. Like I said a while ago, there was this guy who I tried to friend from an asexual dating site, and he said he saw the positive quotes on my profile. He's like, I can't be with someone, you know, I'm not interested in someone like that. I'm not interested in having a relationship with a person who puts positive stuff all over their Facebook. Like, he hated it, basically. And I'm like, well, he's done me a favour in that case, because I don't want to be someone who's miserable and doesn't like being positive. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, he basically hated that about me. So sometimes you can get the most weirdest things people might not like about you. Some people might not like your voice or your accent or clothes you wear or your mannerisms or your talkative nature, and you don't want to be around those people anyway, you know. But obviously, you know, if you are going to think you're going to be liked by everyone, then you're just like making yourself be a certain way around people to be liked. You're not saying no to things. You're not standing your ground. You're not being assertive. You're not putting your boundaries in place. You know, if all you're doing is pleasing people all the time, you know, and you know, like most people, like, who don't want to please everyone, they've usually got a really good close friends. Like, you know, you can usually count them on your hands. Count them on your fingers and your hands, rather than like having a huge crowd of people. You want to keep everyone happy all the time. It doesn't work. You know, one of my friends, she tries to keep everyone happy in a group, and it doesn't always work, because you just can't necessarily, because they've all got different personalities, you know. So don't be a people pleaser. Don't expect to be liked by everyone. You know, you have the right not to be liked by everyone. And there's a saying that goes, you know, what other people think of you is not your business. No, so if someone's hating on you, doesn't like you for whatever reason, that's their problem and their business, really. It's not your problem. You don't have to change. You don't have to become someone you're not just because they don't like it. That's their problem, isn't it? Not yours. You have the right. You have the right. This is the last one. You have the right to control your own life and change it if you are not happy with it as it is. Yes, you have the right to control your own life and change it if you are not happy with it as it is. This is so important. Yes. So if there's something that's happening in your life and you're not liking it, you have the right to change your mind. So there's quite a lot of people in life, especially parents of people, like, you know, like, who expect their kids to go to a certain school, certain college, study a certain thing. I got like a lot of, you know, I was able to choose whatever I wanted to do, really, like that. But there are some people, especially from certain cultures or religions, where, for example, they'll expect their son or daughter to be a doctor or a lawyer. You know what I mean? And there's still quite a lot of parents like this who expect their kids, when they're grown up adults, to do the jobs that they think they should be doing. But you have the right to control your own life and change your career, and and change your life if you're not happy with the way it is, because you are the one that's got to live that life day in, day out, basically, not anyone else. You know, it's all very well for them to judge and say, oh, well, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, you know, if you don't want to do a 9-to-5 job and you want to go and do a creative job or some very strange job or something to do with the arts, you have the right to do that. You have the right to live your own life and choose your own path in life, you know, especially if you don't live with your family or parents. It's not their decision to make. It's up to you to make your decision. And it's up to you if you want to change your life. Maybe you'll start doing a course and then realize it's not for you. You know, I did a lot of driving lessons. I did 96 between the ages of 17 and 19 years old. I did 96 driving lessons. it was a lot of lessons. My parents weren't very happy. They'd spend like £1,000. I don't blame them for not being happy, but I just couldn't get to grips with it. It took me 32 to be able to do clutch control, and so I had to change, I changed my mind and said, driving's not for me. Well, the driving instructors I tried it a couple of other ones later for their opinion. They said, you're all right on the basics, but the rest of it, you just you can't concentrate. So you've got to leave it for a couple of years before you come back to it. But I didn't want to go back to it. I don't like driving. It's not me. Do you know what I mean? So you have the right to change your mind. And about career, like I was doing an employed job at the moment. I'm working from home, which is better for me. And I pay my own bills. You know what I mean? So I have the right to change my mind about that. You have the right to change your mind about your job, about your career, about your life, about any decisions you make. You have the right to change. I mean, we're all changing every single day of our life, whether we like it or not. Sometimes the change is thrust upon us, and other times we make change happen for us. But it's so much better to make change happen for you rather than to you. But you have to understand that if you get into a relationship with someone, you are allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change anything you want about yourself, but you shouldn't force the other person to change. And also, by changing yourself, the other person might not be able to stay with you in the relationship because you might have changed in a way that they don't like, they can't accommodate, they can't agree with. So you have to understand that. That's something that people don't really say, because, for example, if I changed and decided that for example, say I had a partner, right? And they lived in Exeter like I do. And then all of a sudden, I decided that I wanted to get a job in London, right? Because I wasn't happy living in Exeter anymore. I just couldn't get the job I wanted, and I wanted to move to London for a better career or whatever. And I liked London, I preferred it. At the moment, I prefer living in Exeter, and London's the second favourite place to live. But theoretically, say if that happened, or I got a job in London, right? I have the right to change my mind or change direction of my career or change the place I live. But that person doesn't have to come with you, And the problem lies is, obviously if you get married, there's kind of a even more commitment and tie to move with you. Or but they don't have to still. They could stay separate from you and commute, but the marriage probably wouldn't last. Do you know what I mean? So you have to understand that for every action, there is a reaction. For every decision and choice you make, there's a consequence. So where you have freedom and rights and you can do what you like in a relationship, you can do what you like. So you have to understand the impact it can have on other people, which is why just reading those Bill of Rights is good in and of themselves. But if you're actually doing it within a relationship, obviously, you have the right to say no to sexual things, to anything you're being manipulated about, all that type of thing. But these things also apply to everyday stuff, saying no. And it might be that, especially if you haven't been living your truth, then all of a sudden you decide you found yourself and you're not really the person you thought you were. How's that going to impact the other person? It's going to change their life as well. So you have to try and find someone in a relationship that you can both grow individually and together, and that you can have such a wonderful communicative relationship that you're able to change without shocking the other person too much and without not considering their feelings. But obviously, you don't want to be with the person who's going to be manipulative and not let you do anything. So you have to be able to make your own choices, your own decisions, rule your own life. But you also have to understand that in a relationship, you are going to affect the other person, just like they affect you. So if you do decide you want to move to another country or move away, you have to decide that with your partner. And if you decide you want to do that, you have to understand you might lose them. Not because they're manipulating you, but because you've chosen to leave that city or country. They don't have to come with you. They have their right to change their mind just as much as you do. And you can expect that they're going to get angry and probably have an outburst over that, because they do have the right to be angry and upset, just like you have the right to change your mind about where you want to live. So for every action, there's a reaction. For every, sometimes it might be a reaction you need. It might be that the relationship is no good for you anymore, that you both need to move on and go in different directions, however hard that might be. Do you know what I mean? So always think about what you do, but just don't end up in a relationship where you're afraid to do anything, afraid to speak your mind, afraid to change or do anything because you're afraid to lose the person. You have to be willing to lose the person in order to get the change you want and need if what's happening in your life isn't working for you. You know? You have the right to change your mind. Like at the moment, I've decided I'm going to go out and kiss some guys not in a relationship. But I haven't thought that way throughout my life, you know. I mean, I have done sometimes kissed outside a relationship, but not very often. But now I'm making a conscious decision to do that. So I've given myself permission and the right to change my mind about that, you know. My worry and concern for myself is, what if I get to like that so much that I never want to be in a serious committed relationship anymore? I just want to be in this non-committal this thing. Happy being single. I'll just like kiss some guys and that'll be it. What if I love that so much that I decide that's what I want to be in the future? But I'm in a much better place to do that because I am single at the moment. I'm not really hurting anyone. Do you see what I mean? But I kind of feel sad that what if I turn my mind, because I'm very good at changing my mind purposefully. I'm very good at changing my mindset and rewiring my brain. So I'm kind of thinking, well, if I rewire my brain to be non-committal type, young, free and single, maybe I want to be that way forever. And a part of me feels sad because I think, well, you're not going to get a relationship like that, are you? Because if you love being young, free and single, you might like that life so much that being in a relationship might feel caged like an animal. You can't do it anymore. And then you'll be kind of missing out on the relationship you've always wanted. But maybe I don't actually want that, you know? Do you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I mean, I will always love going out dancing. And I cannot see me being in a relationship and being happy not going out dancing, really. I'd want to be happy because I feel wrong kind of going out dancing and dancing with other guys. I don't think that's right. My morals and beliefs and values say that's not right. But I have a dilemma because I can't be the type of person that never goes out dancing. And sometimes dancing on your own does get a bit boring. And so really I need to find a guy who'd want to go out dancing with me in a relationship, or I don't be in a relationship for the time I need to do that. But it might be forever I'm like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a huge dilemma. I either have to change the situation or I have to change myself or my feelings, thoughts about it. Do you know what I mean? Something's got to change. It's the same with business stuff. Like I've got rid of so many domains this year, but I've gained some others. But I have to make the change in my life. I'm making changes all the time. So we have the right to change our mind about anything, the businesses we do, the people that we speak to, the friends that we have, you can't really change your family, but your friends can be your family as well. You know what I mean? Obviously, I love my asexual friend family. They're so lovely. Oh, so sweet. But I'm loving the fact I've got really good asexual friends. My best friend. It's amazing. I kind of feel like, like at the moment, that's all I need with my business stuff, and I need to get out more. Like, I'd love to go out dancing a lot more, to be honest. I think it's really good for me, and it's good for my body and everything. Oh, thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's wonderful. And so, I feel a lot more settled lately. I feel good that I'm seeing my friends more as well. Like I saw my best female friend. I wasn't expecting this week. So even though she's moved away, she's still seeing me now, and she's really listened to something I said. And so it's just made me feel so loved and cared for by her. And I'm really glad that she's still seeing me because she lives further away now, but she's coming back now some weekends to see her friends. So I'm so happy about that. And so are other friends. And she's happy about it. She's happier because she's missing her friends badly. So that's really good. And I've got Sam I'm seeing in January. I've got my friend Andy I'm seeing this weekend. Then I've got an asexual meetup the following weekend. So it's really good because it's kind of like at the moment I'm like seeing a friend once a week. Most of the time I'll be seeing my parents over Christmas. So the next few weeks are pretty much I think I've only got 1 week, but which is a week before Christmas, when at the moment I'm not actually seeing anyone. But I do kind of want to go out dancing one time before Christmas as well, really, to my club. So But you know what I mean? Like maybe next year, maybe 2020 is the year for me to be young, free, single, and non-committal. But I am worried and scared, and I have been for a while. I'll actually get to love it. I have the dilemma that I want to be in a relationship, but really I like the single life too much, which kind of like I guess is a bit of a dilemma now. Sometimes it's kind of like I do want a relationship, but really I like being young, free, and single, doing what I want when I want, having no ties, and I love going out dancing. I don't want to, although my brain's like you shouldn't go out dancing and dance with other guys in a relationship because that's really bad and wrong. The other part of me knows I need to go out dancing, and sometimes I do like dancing with guys. Do you know what I mean? And it's like if the partner I had wasn't even going out dancing ever with me, that would mean either I don't go out dancing, or I go out dancing and I always dance on my own, or I dance with other guys, which to me has always been wrong. So it's a really big dilemma for me. Do you see what I mean? So I have to make my own decision about that. It might be a decision I've never made before, which would be weird. But I think life's a journey, and I think it's what you make it. I think, if you change, you have to change, or you have to speak your truth. I do like going out dancing. I really thoroughly enjoy that. But maybe being young, free, single, non-committal is actually the type of person I'm meant to be, or this point in my life for years to come. I don't know. Maybe it's going to suit me better, because I don't really need to be in a relationship. I just like the kissing. Obviously, if the right person really came along, then I'd probably change on that. But, I still don't understand what I'd do with the dancing, because unless a guy would come out dancing with me and I could trust him, because I'd have to trust him with other women, that if we went out in club, like when I go to the toilet, he's not there like trying to chat up other women and stuff, because I wouldn't like that personally. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, there's going to be women that fancy him, but I would expect him to be waiting for me to come out the loo and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's kind of like, but mate, unless I become one of those people that doesn't mind if the guy dances with other women. Because some people are like that. At the moment, I'm not like that at all. But I don't know if I could be like that. But obviously, if I'm dancing with guys, and he has a right to dance with women. But then if I was going just with him, then I wouldn't be dancing with other guys. But it's all up in the air, isn't it? So I think sometimes it's just better to be young, free, single, happy, and not worry about this stuff. Because if I'm not in a relationship, it don't really matter, does it? Which I am getting worried that I might just like the single life too much, and that part of me that wants a relationship is jeopardized by the part that really doesn't, and that likes being non-committal and likes feeling free. Because I have noticed that about myself sometimes. When I'm in a relationship, it's like there are things within me that I feel like going out for the dancing stuff, I feel like I'm a bit trapped. Like if I go out dancing and then dance with another guy, I think it's wrong. If I dance on my own all the time, I can dance with myself for a long time. If I dance with myself all the time, it can get a bit boring. So it's kind of like you get this dilemma, do you know what I mean? So maybe I just need to change like myself or situation. I don't know. But at the moment I'm young, free and single, so it don't really matter, does it? But I am scared that what if Sandra, you get so used to the single life, being young, free, single, non-committal, then you become the type of person that you've never really wanted to be, which is I do like being young, free and single, but the non-committal type. Because you've always said you don't like that non-commitment type. But what if you become that person, or actually are it? I don't think I'm really totally like that at the moment, but I could be possibly, because I can reprogram my mind for anything, and then I wouldn't be able to change it back very easily. So if I had a guy that's like really good and really right for me, then I'd find it hard to change that mindset back. I'd be like, well, I don't think that way anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. But part of me probably still will a little bit. So it's all really interesting, isn't it? Having the right to change your mind. It's like, do you want the right to change your mind? Yes, you do. But then with all that freedom you got of changing your mind, how does that impact you? And how does that impact other people around you? So it's like mind-boggling when you think about it. And it's really interesting conversation, I think. Do you know what I mean? So, you do have the right to change your mind, and like I can see me really liking the young free single life for a very long time, forever maybe. I don't know. Maybe when I'm really, really, really much older and burst of age, like 80 years old, I'll get married and shock everyone or something, because I hate marriage. I've said that to myself quite a few times. Maybe when you're 80, you actually get married, Sandra, and you don't like marriage. But maybe by 80, you'd be like, oh, well, what the heck? I'll get married now. Oh, it's like something I crazily think about doing, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But then if I haven't been married all that time, would I want to be married at 80? I wouldn't really, would I? Why would I want to be tied to a contract at 80 years old? I can't even put a ring on my finger and keep it there. You know what I mean? But who knows? Anything can happen, couldn't it? But I definitely won't want kids 100%. Like off my, like, is that, I mean, what happens if someone comes along in your life who happens to have kids and you don't want them? Then you're in another dilemma, aren't you? If you really, really want to be with a person. I mean, most times you wouldn't want to have the kids. You don't want to be with a person with kids. But, like, what if a young Indian guy happened to come my way that's got some kids and his wife's not with him anymore for whatever reason? It's like, dilemma. I don't want to be a mum. I don't want kids, but he's really good looking and I get on really well with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, anything's possible. I think in life you have to think anything is possible. You have your right to change your mind about everything, and that includes sex. I have to say this is a final thing. You have your right to change your mind about sex. If you're asexual, you have the right to change your mind and say no, you don't want it, if you said you think you might want it in the first place. If you're asexual, you also have the right to change your mind and try sex. If it's something you said for years you don't want to try, then all of a sudden you do want to have a go at it, you have the right to change your mind about that as well. Like David J., who was the founder of asexuality.org, he did try sex, and some people were very upset about it because they're like, oh, you're asexual, you've always been the first person I ever came across to with asexuality. You founded asexuality, you lack sexual attraction, but yet you tried sex. How could you do that? And they saw it as a bit of a betrayal. But again, another person's problem is not your problem. So if another person can't deal with the fact that you've changed your mind and want to try sex now, that's their problem. It's not your problem. If I decided that I wanted to go back and try sex again, even though I say I hate it at the moment, I don't like it, don't want it, don't need it, and don't want to get married, if I decide I wanted to do that, I have the right to change my mind and do that, because no one owns me. I own myself, And if I wanted to do that, I could do that, but I don't want to do it. I can't see me changing, but, so I did want to change. It's not like I haven't done it before and couldn't know what to do. I have the right to change my mind. But same as if I tried it with a guy once and I didn't like it again, then I'd be like, well, I don't want to do this. And personally, I think it's better not to do it with a person, because like a sexual guy, once you've done it once, and I'll be like, well, you've done it once before with me, why not do it again? But then, like I say, you have the right to change your mind, make your own decision, and have your own opinions about things. Just because you try something once doesn't mean to say you have to do it again. And this includes sexual acts and boundaries and stuff. So if you're in a relationship and say you've never tried, like, especially if you've never tried a lot of sexual stuff before, say you want to experiment and try some sexual stuff, like, I don't know, like to touch a guy, private bit. So you want to just do that to try it. You can say to the person, I'd like to try that, but I'm not sure if I'd like it. Because when you're first discovering about asexuality, and when you're first discovering yourself and what you do and don't like physically, sometimes you might want to try some stuff out because you don't know if you like it or you don't. Like, sometimes you might know you don't like it and don't want to do it, and therefore you can just say, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, I'm not interested, right? But other times you might want to experiment safely within a relationship with someone you trust and say, look, I'd like to try this thing out. How would you feel about it? Or if you know that it's a lot of sexual guys will just say, if it's a sexual guy, they just say, oh, do to me what you want, like do anything sexual you want to me, because it's you who has like the problem with sexual stuff, not me. Do what you like. But it's still good to ask them, really. Like, I mean, you need to ask them first, and then if they said that, mean it, that's fine, isn't it? But you know what I mean, like, you have the right to change your mind about everything you want. Like, at the moment, I say I hate nudity, I can't stand it, which I always probably will hate nudity, but I don't know, if I ended up in a relationship with, I don't know, 23, 24-year-old Indian guy, and I really thought he was aesthetically attractive, like, I only want to see him from the waist up, right? But, if I saw that bit, maybe it would be okay in a serious committed relationship, and I was like seeing him regularly and I happened to see that thing about him, maybe I would be okay long term about that. I don't know, because it's not like I've never seen a guy naked before in my life. And with my ex, I used to do that. So I have the right to change my mind and go back to being okay with that if I wanted that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm going to be that, but like, sometimes I think, like, well, what could I kind of tolerate or be okay with? Like in a relationship, if the person like wanted that, or like, obviously I want my own boundaries to be respected, and obviously like, at the moment I say no, because it's better for me to get into a relationship and say no with the guy then him expect that, you know. But you know, like, what if I did want to touch him and him touch me? What if I did want that? You know, I have the right to change my mind. And then I have the other right to change my mind about, you know, if I let him touch me in certain places and I decided I didn't like that, I have the right to change my mind about that. So I just want you to know it's okay to change your mind about things, you know. Like, it's okay to decide that you don't want sex, you don't want to try. It's okay to think you do want to try some sexual acts or you don't want to try some sexual acts. It's okay to change your mind. You know, sometimes you might want to experiment or try some things because it's just what you need to do for your own discovery right this minute. You know, we're, as human beings, are always learning about ourselves. Like, what you might like with one person, you might not like with another as well. So don't a person shouldn't expect it. Like, I said to a heterosexual, like, I had good sex in the past. He's like, well, if you had sex with him, then why would you have sex with me in a relationship? It's like, because that was before I found out I was asexual. I don't want sex. I hate it now. And I'm not interested in it. And just because I had it and he gave me good sex at the time because he was better than the others that did that to me, because the others were stick it in you types, doesn't mean to say I want to do it ever again or be doing it with you or anyone. Not because I wouldn't love or care about you if I got that serious with you and felt that way, just because I don't like it, you know, and I don't need to prove anything, because, you know, it's like, oh, you got to prove you love me by doing that if you've done that with him. It's like, no, I don't. You know, and again, you shouldn't be bullied or coerced into stuff. Like, don't let them use that one on you. Oh, you had sex in the past, have it with me now. Like, no, I found out I was asexual. I don't want sex. I don't like it. I don't need it. I don't have to have it again in my life. If I choose to have it, it's different. But I don't want to be pressurized or manipulated or made to feel bad about not having it with the person. Do you see what I'm saying? So just believe that you have the right to change your mind. Like, quite a number of asexuals, they can find out they're demisexual later on, that they do experience sexual attraction, that rare circumstance with this one person. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, that can happen pretty much to any one of us. We just don't know. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I know right now in this moment, I don't experience any sexual attraction towards anyone. I test that when I'm kissing a guy. I test it out of myself. I like sometimes, or even like, I didn't even get aroused kissing the last guy, which was weird for me. Like, I feel nothing in my body. This is really strange. The only thing I can feel is your lips on my mouth. It's very bizarre for me. And tongue, of course. You know what I mean? Very, very weird. It's just like a wooden clog. That's all I can describe it like. But, you know, you have the right to change your mind about anything or anyone at any point. You know, like, I never kissed a guy before until the last guy with facial hair. I mean, actually, I think I have. Sorry, a little bit. I think he had a tiny little bit of goatee there. But I mean, this guy had a tash as well as a beard. I don't think I've ever kissed anyone with a proper. It was a full-on tash across there, and his beard. It wasn't bushy, but it was like across his chin. So yeah, I've never kissed a guy with that much facial hair before, and I didn't think I would, but I did. You know, I've never kissed a smoker before until last year, and I did. I was like, oh my god. That was a mistake, actually, but never mind. I had chest infection for 7 weeks. But see, it's not a mistake, it's a lesson you learn from. I cannot be with a smoker, absolutely not. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I could be with someone who vapes, because the last guy who kissed me, he vaped, and I didn't even realise that afterwards. But I did get a blister under my tongue, so I'm not sure if that was from him, because after I let him kiss me, I got it afterwards. So I don't know if that was from the vape or what. Because vape, my mum says she saw something on the news about some of the vaping can be really dangerous. Some of the flavours, like the mint one, can cause catastrophe. I don't know if it can lead to death or something, the mint one. So you ought to be very careful, even with vape stuff in your mouth. Very careful. And obviously you can still get some diseases through the tongue if they've been doing stuff with other people, sexual stuff with the tongue. So you got to be wary of that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, you have the right to change your mind. You have the right to be you, your right to your own opinions, the right to your own life, the right to your own privacy, the right to control your life in the way you see fit, the right to express your emotions, the right to be angry, the right to be you, the right not to please everyone, the right not to be loved by everyone, the right not to be liked by everyone, the right to do your own thing, to live your own life, to control your own destiny, to control your own career, to choose the path you want to choose on, and to be you. And in this life, which is the most wonderful thing that you're here. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you loved this video as much as I loved saying it and speaking it. I know I've had quite a lot of people watching this video for a long time tonight, so I want to give you all my love. And Sam, who's my best friend, who's been on this channel like pretty much all night, sending you love as my friend. And lots of love to Ray, who had to leave earlier, and lots of love to Naylor, who had to leave earlier, and Raphael, lots of love to you too. And whoever else is watching, big kisses for you too. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've got any comments, queries, or questions in the meantime, please put them down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think in between the videos as well. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit the great big subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. I'd really appreciate you sharing this channel on your Facebook page, your Twitter account, your social media. So that's youtube.com/asexualize my asexual life. So youtube.com/asexualize my asexual life. Type that in. Give that link to whoever is your friends, family, anyone you think may be interested in asexuality or any of the topics we discuss. And let's help raise more awareness of asexuality and help people on their personal and professional self-growth life. Until next time, embrace your quirky and each other. Thanks for the thumbs up. Any more thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. And I will see you on the next video or live stream. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye, Sam. Bye, everyone else. Lots of love.